Well, when I scheduled this show, I got to tell you, it was before all of our revelations and things we've been able to find out about my family and my past, which we've been talking about the past week and a half. Initially, when I scheduled this show, I was asking about a friend and a few of our listeners who wanted to hear more about it. And, of course I want to hear more about it. I knew it existed, not really to what extent. It wasn't something I've really spent a lot of time investigating on my own. I just, okay, well, there's freaks out there that do bad things. Cool. I'm busy over here. And so anyways, once again, here's another show that is touching us, well, yours truly, personally. So I'm really excited. Long was part of a secret society for 7 years. So he's going to be discussing the types of ritual abuses and going into the reasons for it, their meaning behind it. And he's also going to touch on symbolism and the occult and history and how these symbols play a role in our everyday life without even knowing it. So who knows how long we have long. I just know that I have a lot more questions about the first part, about the rich, I have a newfound interest in understanding these secret societies and the abuses and why they do this and the meaning behind it. Because, if you have heard the past few shows, it's kind of amazing to hear how widespread these things really are. I got to say, I'm still numb from yesterday's show. I mean, it was almost like it was scripted, but we know it wasn't. It was amazing. Just, more confirmation and people calling in, not only the part about Duncan knowing my grandpa being one of his perpetrators, and the next caller who was on a ship with Duncan, and, down the rabbit hole we go. Then the other guy who was part of an assassination team didn't really, these guys didn't go and apply for these things. They just were used. So it's amazing to hear how widespread it is. And Long is one of the most, well, probably the most knowledgeable person I know about this topic, secret societies and how prevalent they are, and the whole ritual abuse phenomena, and the meaning behind it. So hopefully this will help other survivors be able to answer questions or put pieces together as well. And understanding is the key. I mean, just because we understand why they're doing it, of course, doesn't imply that we agree with it, but I think it definitely helps for people to at least understand. All right. Wow. Let's see. We are going to introduce Loooooong, and that's with 6 O's out there. He's not just any long. He is very long. How you doing tonight, Long?
Hello? What's happening, Troop Brigade? Christie, everybody here,
Yep.
What's happening?
So I guess you heard that I scheduled this show. I didn't really necessarily have a personal interest in it, but how things have changed over the last 3 weeks, and I do have more of a personal interest in it. So
I know for a fact that we all have been subjected, every last one of us, initiated, not initiated, Gentile, Master Mason, it doesn't make a difference. We've all been subjected to this mind control, demonic entities possessing us, using us for their own gains and so-called profits, and whether we know it or whether we want to accept it or not, it's just the reality of things. And every time you walk into a supermarket, you're subjected to a whole lot of so-called magic, manipulation, magi or magus. You're subjected to sigils, which are symbols that bring about power and influence into your subconscious and also into your spirit. So basically, we have been subjected as a people of Earth to all types of sacred geometry, mathematical equations in which we don't understand from our frontal consciousness. We just don't get it from that perspective. So basically, I was just hoping to hear whatever stories or whatever that people may feel are relating to them, and then I'll explain the purpose of it and the use of it to the so-called Illuminati or the so-called powers that be that are instrumenting all these sigils and using your energy to feed their cause. So when you, anybody else, the guest, brings up whatever happened to them, I can relate that to the purpose in which they was subjected to that for. That's pretty much about it.
Well, not what I'm finding out is not only when we go to the grocery store, whatever, are we being subjected to these symbols. It almost seems like, the grocery clerk or the manager, these actual secret society members or Illuminati New World Order people are always there. So it's not just these symbols and everything. But this seems to be a lot more larger and prevalent in our society than I ever would have thought possible. Am I being kind of a paranoid nut here in thinking that, or is that possible that it's a lot more prevalent than anyone would have ever known?
Well, just look at the symbol. We'll start with something simple. The 7-pointed star that the police normally carry on their chest, okay? That 7-pointed star is a symbol of the law, all right? That's the symbol. The 7-pointed star is, you have the 6-pointed star, number one, which is man, the perfect man of the unisence, or the sema, as it's called, with man and woman, both perspectives, the feminine and the masculine combined together, and therefore make up man. Because there's no real word. Woman is not really a word, because man was always considered to be masculine and feminine placed together. The 7-pointed star symbolizes that 7 point is the Christ consciousness, or the law, which the Christ consciousness, the unmanifested of all things manifested, has its root laws, which are pretty much unescapable. You could bend it, you think you might be bending it, but in the end, you always fall to it because you can't beat out the Creator's law. You just can't beat it. So they use things based on NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming, dual meanings of such, to program your subconscious. So things like the word, like the English language is just profound with NLP. But, for example, guard and God, all right, have the same subconscious reaction because they sound so similar. So one guards the bank, the other one guards the earth. So therefore, they place that 7-pointed star, which is symbolic of the law issued by God, or issued by the Creator of all things. Okay, that law is that 7th point added towards man. So you have man being the 6-pointed star, and then you have the 7th point, which is the law of creation added upon that. So the so-called bad guys, they have added all this crap like 60 million statutes, rules, bills, acts, regulations, all this stuff that doesn't even matter, all their corporate fictions. They've added that to the sacred symbol of the 7-pointed star, which signifies somebody who is literally the presenter and the enforcer of the law or the will of the Creator. That is that. So they took this ancient symbol and manifested it in a way in your mind that it is true and correct. So since none of us have left this planet, that we're constantly reincarnated into this cycle over and over again, that impression, that 7-pointed star, has a repetitive influence upon our spirit. It's just like somebody's allegedly called black, all right? If they're called Negro, even 50, 60 years ago, Negro, something in their head, something in them says, I don't like that word. I don't like the way that sounds to me. There's something that just doesn't sound right about that. They have that itch in the back of their neck. What is this? That's your spirit telling you that word was used to describe a dead thing, a slave, and all these other nasty adjectives you would like to throw on there. All right? So therefore, it's something that's ringing in your subconscious, in your spirit. They use these words, these ancient words, and manifest them in different, different meanings they might put in the dictionaries or something like that, but your spirit knows the truth. We're in a spiritual war overall. Like, that's the main thing I agree with Sound Guy on. We are in a spiritual war. And that spiritual war is fought on so many different fronts. So basically, you could say you're an octopus with that central eye or brain of the octopus being your spirit. And therefore, all the tentacles that you have are literally the attachments into which they levy their torture upon you. All right, that imprisonment of your spirit. They literally are attacking your spirit through all the other means, all the other senses that you have, all the other tentacles that you possess. The beast has tentacles as well. So to cut to the chase, you got to stab the beast in the eye, cut the head off of it. And they're going after the spirit. So the words that they use, the symbols that they use, the sigils, the alchemy is all attacking the subconscious of the brain and the spirit itself. That is a hard thing for people to follow. That's probably the main reason why I don't even talk about this topic, but I guess I'm doing it on Truth Brigade right now. So.
Well, so you're saying that we are actually affected by these symbols or what they use as language, and we don't even really know it?
Oh, yeah. It's just like, I hate to bring it up again because it's used as a analogy so many times, but the Matrix movie, when, like, say, for example, when Neo walks in, when he's, like, fresh out the machine, and he walks in on the guy, Cypher, I think his name was, and he's looking at the screen with all the codes going down, back, forth, and he's like, are you really understanding and reading that? He's like, well, after a while, it just starts, all I see is blonde, brunette, redhead, whatever, you know what I mean, because he's used to the code. And when you walk to that supermarket, you don't see the code. You see blonde, brunette, such. But the code is being embedded in your subconscious, which the Illuminati or the powers that be or whatever we want to label them as, these people, these beings, literally use your subconscious brain to handle what they want you to handle because your subconscious brain can handle thousands of thoughts at one time. Meanwhile, your frontal consciousness or your first-hand perspective only handles less than 100, but your subconscious can handle thousands of thoughts at one time, and they're processing these thoughts to give to that frontal consciousness or that frontal lobe, okay? So basically that so-called reptilian mind that they say disappears, but it never does disappear, that mind follows what the subconscious projects, okay, or your so-called gut instincts, okay? So since your subconscious is being programmed by a foreign source and not your spirit, you have to cut that off. And then you'll start to see all these symbols out in the public, all the 5-pointed stars, the 6-pointed stars, the 666 that you see everywhere, all these things, or the sigils that's placed on, say, your money. If you take the $5 bill, the old $5 bill, and without that purple stuff on it, you take that along with all the way up to the $100 bill, fold it in the same exact fashion, you see a slideshow of the 9/11 event. All right, you don't just see the towers and the $20 bill burning. Do all the bills the same way. Fold it all the same way. I guarantee you'll see a slideshow of it. That's called a sigil. Basically, they put on there, in God you trust, all right? In God we trust. So, therefore, everybody is pushed to get this money. Get money, get money, get money, get money. You're putting your energy into that, okay? All I have to do is make a symbol up in the way I feel fit based on my idea and then pass it out and make it popular to you. The money itself is a sigil. The money itself is a talisman. It holds, stores energy, and projects the thoughts and the imagination of those who issue it. All right? That's their invention, and you're putting your energy into that invention. Okay? So the same thing goes down to ritual abuse, sacrifice, and stuff like that. They trick you or try to force you into giving up your energy. That's the goal of ritualization. That's the drive to take your spiritual treasure that your creator of all things gave you. That is your treasure. That are your pearls. And it's said, never throw your pearls to the swine. And it's also said that those who aspire to full knowledge and education of their environment shall also prosper. So basically you have to understand that these beings, these guys, whatever you might call them, literally understand the absolute. They don't have belief or faith in anything other than their ability to learn and progress and grow and reach full enlightenment. Other than that, they leave nothing up to chance, nothing up to belief, nothing up to maybe it might be like this or I'm just going to believe in this. They leave nothing up to that. Either if they know or they don't know. That is it. And basically, for us to understand how they operate and to combat these issues, we must also know or don't know. We could believe all we like, but the Roman maxim, as always, will state and has stated, those who shall be fooled, let them. So if you want to believe, then feel free, but you suffer the penalty for it. And that's how they get down with this. That's how they understand it. So I'll be more than happy to hear anything relating to this, and then I'll go ahead and explain and break it down, the reasoning of why. But the main reason is to take your spiritual energy and harvest it. Despite the
harvest it. Well, let's rewind a little bit before we go too further in depth. Now, you did share with us that you were part of a secret society for 7 years. Can you tell us what society? I mean, a Mason, or how many different secret societies are there?
Well, the Rosicrucians was the society I belonged to. Now, the Rosicrucians are no more a secret than people would like to make them. They're not a secret. They're wide open. All these societies are not a secret. They're open to the public. All right? Now, the problem is that the society itself is not a secret. The problem really is that some of the members, a few of the members, are secret, that they take secret oaths, secret declarations and testimonies that they then apply to the open arena of the public, okay? So basically, somebody could be a Mason right here in front of you, okay? And they don't have any secret oaths, all right, within the order. They don't have any of that. So everything they tell you is pretty much true.
Who doesn't have a secret oath?
Any of the outer circle guys. Any of the guys.
And who would be considered an outer circle?
A good example of that would be the guys that ride around with the flag of the netter on the back of their car, and also the square and compass emblems on the back of the car. They have the rings. They have.
So basically, the people, just like 33rd and 34th degree, really know what's going on, but all the masters under them do not.
You could say that, pretty much. Okay. A Master Mason is going to have an idea of the true history and also have an idea of who he really serves. But it's not a guarantee. I've met 30 persons that didn't know. They didn't know. And I would be up under them in consideration of the order where my rank is not as high as theirs on paper. But yet, they still didn't know some of the things I knew because I would have to take an oath to the inner circle. They would not be allowed to be in the inner circle based on their beliefs. So therefore, they're a figurehead within the order. Okay? So if you're one of the people that believe, all right, that say you're a 33rd degree Mason right now, Christie, and you believe that all are equal under God, okay? That's your thought. Well, another Mason which knows for a fact that there is no equality under God because God is the governmental ordinance departments, all right? When they know that, then they immediately are not subjected to your understanding, that their understanding is on a higher plane than that, a plane in which that you're over here as so-called Christian Goyim, and I'm over here on controller of the Christian Goyim. That's the philosophy of it, despite your rank and title, because the understanding is that your rank and title means nothing if you have the enlightenment.
Okay, so the outer circle is basically everyone else. How many people are in this inner circle?
For a chapter, they might have about, say, 3,000 members for a chapter. So you're dealing with, like, the Scottish Rite chapters, Skull and Bones, Rosicrucians, whatever Masonic temples that are out there. Each chapter, let's say we're going to make an average of 3,000 members per chapter, okay? Well, out of those 3,000 members, I say less than 10% of them are going to be in the inner circle to understand.
So 300.
Yeah, 300.
So of each chapter, like if we see one of those Scottish Rite temples or Masonic Lodge or Fraternal Order of Eagles or this and that, we can assume that there's at least 3,000 members, but there's at least or probably 300 of the bad guys.
Exactly. There's always at least 300 of the bad guys. Well,
at each place that we physically, us sheeple, see?
Yeah, they live right next to you. You know, in regular houses. They're not living in mansions, most of them. They're all living side by side with you. And their mission is to build you the way they see fit. That's pretty much it. Or build you into light of into the form in which you're subjected to their king or their foremost authority or their God, whatever it may be. Whoever controls them, they're going to build you to serve them. That's their mission.
Well, what type of relationship exists between the Rosicrucians and Freemasons? Are they interchangeable?
The Rosicrucians are pretty much the followers of the rule of Akhenaten. All right, Akhenaten was the one who was the first, allegedly the first monotheist, and said everyone must worship the sun, and he is the sovereign, not only king and priest, and he's the sovereign everything. He's the sovereign priest, ruler, king, everything. He's the only minister for that, for that religion. Well, Akhenaten is the number one figurehead in the outer circle Rosicrucians. And the inner circle Rosicrucians are the number one people that would go past Akhenaten and choose to serve whoever they choose to serve. That's the trickery involved, where somebody in the inner circle might be serving, say, John Boulant, and I might be serving Ra, or the sun god, and somebody else might be serving the Pope Jesus Christ on earth. You know.
So you're saying that the people within these fraternities or orders, they have the choice. They can serve any of those people. It's not like a set standard. You're in my group, you must worship this god or this person or this entity.
It's kept private, and that private ownership of who you choose to serve can only be brought about through oath. So if they ask you to take an oath to serve a particular entity, whether it be Jesus Christ or Akhenaten or Ra or whatever, if they ask you to take that oath and you take that oath, then you are down on paper to serve whoever you said that you're going to serve in that oath. So if you never have that oath, then you never can commit treason against it because it doesn't exist. Okay? But they hold you liable. So if they know that you're inside the inner circle and understanding, all right, then that means you're going to be tagged, flagged, and they're going to be looking at you hard because they know there's nothing that binds you from the way you choose to conduct your masonry. So whatever way you want to build a Gentile, all right, they have no say over that until they bind you in an oath. So the oath conditions may be that they're going to try to trick you with, okay, you can have access to this higher understanding and learning, blah, blah. Or it could be an oath that we realize what you're doing, and you're doing so without our permission, and therefore subject to the laws of treason within the lodge for teaching Gentiles this and that. So we want to have confirmation that you will not teach Gentiles our hidden ways unless they have been initiated and you have vouched for them first into the order.
So what level must you be before you're allowed or even presented with an oath?
Oh, well, as long as you pass through the 3 degrees and you're not a neophyte anymore. So
33. So that's 33 degrees?
No, just 3. Just 3 degrees.
Oh, 3?
Yep.
So you take an oath as the 3rd degree, but the guys who really don't know the guys who really know what's going on are 33rd and 34th, right?
Well, kind of, sort of, because everybody, there's no equality in understanding. There's no equality in that. So I can cut just now, Pat, all right, neophyte is student, all right, that you're a student to the mysteries. And you have not quite been accepted into the order until you pass those 3 levels, those 3 degrees. Now, the initiation process after the 3 degrees, there are several. There can be the basic initiation where you stand before the lodge and you recite the doctrine unneeded without reading it. So you memorize the doctrine, and then you recite it. And then they give you your badge, and they say, okay, you're one of us. And they go through whatever ritual they see fit that is subject to this type of criteria. And then you have the other one, okay, where the master mason that is overseeing the procedure, because in the temple, the master mason, 33 degree mason, will be overseeing the whole proceeding. So that mason will automatically know. He'll know based on what the other guys have told him about you. So let's say you passed this 3-stage neophyte thing with flying colors before you even took the oath, okay? And they know that you know way more about what's going on than they have allowed you to see, okay? Because your understanding is that of your own, and it's not subject to somebody else. So therefore, they see that you have progressed much farther than somebody else. So therefore, you're going to have one initiation for the open temple where all the guys, the outer circle guys, will be there. So you'll have that initiation, and then you'll have a private one. And that private one is in the same action as the Vatican does its Jesuits. So when a Jesuit is indoctrinated into the Jesuit oath, he is only followed up. Well, the only ones who administered this is the Supreme General and 2 other affiliates of that. All right, so that's it. There's only 3 guys there. But in the primary thing where you're out there in front of all the so-called brothers in the fraternal order, that's just standard. That's standard initiation. That's nothing compared to the next initiation and the oath that you may take or may not take, depending if you just choose to accept it or not. They're going to test you first to see if you're even going to accept the oath. All right, they're going to test your well-being and how devious you may be, or how stern you may be. Like I was asked to spit on the face of Jesus Christ on a big wooden cross. It's a big wooden cross. The side, well, I'm tall, so it was well over 6 feet tall. Right, and they said, spit in the face of Jesus Christ to receive your next instructions. And instead of saying, oh, well, that's Jesus Christ, because they teach you the Bible, and Jesus Christ is the Savior at first, all right, when you're a neophyte, all right? But if you do that, all right, you're thinking automatically in your head, they just asked me to do this So as a goyim, as a Gentile, you're thinking, oh, it's a trick, because if I do that, that means I'm not really ready to progress to the kingdom of heaven or progress to the light. But if now for my thinking and for others that chose this path thinking, when they hear that, oh, you want to see how tough I am, that really this is all religion and subject matter to me, I care not about the so-called image and face and all this stuff of Jesus Christ, and hawk and spit in his face. So whatever way you pass it, all right, if you don't spit in his face, they tell you, oh, you passed the test, and you now can go into the higher level of understanding into the kingdom of heaven, blah, 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 blah. And if you do spit into his face, now they tell you the same thing, that you now progress and go into the higher levels of things. But the subject matter and what they hand you next is completely different. One is of the Goyim and the Gentile, which is completely dogmatic, and if you don't spit in the face, that's what you're going to get.
Wow. So they bring the the member or potential to a cross and ask you to spit in the face of Jesus Christ. Now the person who is going through this test, they believe, or they're told, no matter what they do, whether they choose to or choose not to, they're still both told that, okay, you passed, you progressed to this level, but it's actually two different directions.
Yeah, the outer circle guy, that would be the outer circle guy. The one who doesn't spit on the cross would be the outer circle guy, and the one who does spit on the cross would be the inner circle guy.
So you experienced this. You were one of the people they brought to ask to do this.
Yeah, I had no hesitation whatsoever to spit in the face of Jesus.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, so then you were promoted to the inner circle.
To the understandings of it. Basically, they started me off with things that I already was studying anyway, like Machiavelli and the writings of Mussolini, how to conquer societies and such. Those things I was already familiar with, and I took to it quite fast. So there was nothing that was really ahead of me except for the ritualistic ability of these things, how to project your thoughts on paper, how to make sigils and symbols and get people to worship those sigils and symbols and put their power into it, put their energy into it, and then make what I want to happen. So how much time did you spend with this society or order before you were asked to take part in this initiation? Let's see. When I was 19 is when I was invited to the temple through another member. It took me less than 3 months to finish all 3 degrees. And
wow. Okay, so you're saying you were recruited then. How were you recruited? How did this happen?
Well, because I was already acting as a Gentile Mason in my own regards. I was out there literally controlling a whole half of a city, which I won't mention the state that city was in, but there was controlling. Controlling. Yeah, there was almost 2 million people in this city, and I controlled half of it by way of drugs, guns, all types of illegal activities, and so-called illegal activities, which most people had to go through me to understand, to actually get down with it. No matter what they was doing out there, whether it was a nickel bag of weed out in the park, I had some involvement with it. They had to go through me some kind of way, whether I had 3 or 4 buffers ahead of me or not. And that's when I was 19 years old. And
wow. You were just invited by some guy, and all of a sudden you're basically running a town?
No. I was already doing that before the Mason. Before the Mason who invited me to the temple, I was already doing that. Because
why? What were you, like a drug dealer? I mean, how were you already running a town?
Yeah, drug dealer, gun smuggler. Yeah, I did all that.
So you were just basically a street kid involved in drugs and started selling drugs, and then you were invited or recruited From what temple?
From the Rosicrucians, and San Jose was the Mason that belonged to the San Jose temple, but yet he was on the East Coast where I was at and recruited me based on what he saw of me in the streets.
Wow.
So
you already had like a niche, I guess, in the drug industry. And so they, I guess, were watching you and thought that, you must have executed your activity appropriately, and so they invited you to become one of them?
Basically, they realized that I was a leader already. And
wow.
I was independent, though. I was away from them. So whenever they see talents of any kind, they choose to use it for their own benefit. For example,
okay.
When you're online and you take some IQ test, right, which I advise nobody take these IQ tests, all right, because they're only surveying you to find out who is ahead of who. They only want to see who can be used for their benefit. So then after you take this IQ test, they're going to be setting up a pathway for you to follow, okay? Certain doors are going to open up for you. Certain jobs are going to become available to you. Certain people are going to come to you and discuss matters with you that involve you taking some type of oath or signing some type of contract or pledge to serving their benefit.
Now, this is just because some innocent person is just playing online. It says, check your IQ here. You do it. And they, wow, are they the creators of these online IQ tests?
Yep. They're the ones.
Unbelievable. So when you fill it out and get your results and your name and address and blah, 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 they basically get on your tail just right there from innocently doing an online IQ test.
Mm-hmm. They want to see.
Wow. Okay, don't do those online IQ tests, everyone. If you were considering it, don't do it.
They are the shepherds of society, and therefore they must know how their flock thinks. That is the idea. That is the theory, that you must know how your flock operates and thinks. If I hit my sheep on the ass with a stick, will he run left or will he run right? That's the purpose of a Mason, to control and dictate throughout society. All right? He has to build society. You are nothing more than bricks to them, and therefore they are the ones designing the pattern in which the bricks lay. All right? And basically, if they take their hammer with the chisel end on it and they hit that brick at, say, 3 inches from the 45-degree angle, where will that brick crack at? These are the things that they hold dear. So when they shock test you with things like, oh, we have an oil crisis and gas is going to go up $2 per gallon, right? And they want to see how you're going to react to that. Of course, there's never an oil crisis. There never has been one. There never will be one either. We have enough oil on this planet to last for 1 billion years. But they literally tell you that just to see what you're going to do. Just to see what you're going to do. And then they log that as information. So
then they basically design a program or design something based on how the people they're testing respond.
Mm-hmm. Everything that
what kind of IQs are they looking for on these online IQ tests?
Pretty much about 125, 130 and up.
Oh, gosh. So if you have a 154, then you've already been tagged.
Yeah.
Well, that's me. I've been tagged, I guess. Well, I was tagged, as I found out long ago, but, when I was born, basically.
They put their file on you, and then somebody is assigned to watch you. And then if they say, okay, like when they turn in their report at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, whatever their report signifies, whether it's monthly or quarterly, okay, when they turn in their report will say, well, Christie is subjectable to people that need help, and Christie is subjectable to, they'll list down every weakness and every strength that they have seen in you while investigating you. And then they'll turn that over to their higher authority, and then their higher authority will make a decision on whether or not to try to recruit you, in what manner to recruit you. To recruit you as a Goyim slave and never teach you anything, or recruit you as an actual member and a shot caller for them. That's the difference. All right. So me, on the other hand, was recruited as a slave to dictate to other slaves because I was already doing that, and they knew that I had a leadership complex, one that I was choosing not to be led, but that I can only go by leading. So therefore, they would throw the extra at me just enough so that they cannot be harmed by me. So don't put me on a need-to-know basis, pretty much. That's it. But the only thing that they didn't count on was my super nosy ability. Because you leave me alone in your office, I'm going to go through your shit. I'm going to go through files. I'm going to go through all your personal documents. I'm going to look at your baby pictures, make copies of it. That's me. But they didn't add that to my portfolio, and they left me alone too much for me not to snoop around.
So you're saying you actually snooped on these other guys, trying to see what they were hiding from you? So is that ultimately how you found out that you were being misled, and is that what led to your decision to get out, or how did you get out?
What really prompted my decision to get out was the fact that the Vatican, that the Pope was Jesus Christ, and that the Vatican was running all the so-called secret societies, all of them. You know, there was no separation. And the only separation that there was allegedly back when the people who really founded America separated. And those people was never involved with the Vatican anyway. The Moorish Empire that founded America was never involved with the Vatican. The Vatican was involved with them. And there was a subcategory. They was like up under them in their authority. So then the wars that started after the fact that America was founded, way before you got those 1700 dates and 1600 or Columbus in 1492, America was already established. The Continental Republic. This was not some savage lands of Indians running around with whatever their little tribal agreements. Oh, no. This was a straight-up established, in paper, treaties all over the place, established nation from Greenland all the way down to the southern tip of South America. And the papacy was a branch of that. They were stemming from that. That was the Babylonian church that decided to make their own empire and take over the entire world. That was them. So the Moorish Empire and the Babylonian Empire, which the Babylonian Empire was the same priesthood that started the Vatican, okay, they've been at war for thousands of years now. Thousands of years. And the Moors that were the original founders here, they really don't want to come forward altogether and say that, okay, look, none of you people in the middle have any understanding about this, and either you get down with us or you get down with them, whatever it may be, you are either part of the solution or part of our problem. All right? So the Moorish and the Vatican both feel the same way on that tip. That if you don't
so basically you found out that the Vatican is involved, I guess, with other secret societies. So you didn't like that, so that's what led to you wanting to leave. But how did you leave? Did you just call someone up and say, hi, you guys suck, fuck you, I'm out of here? Or what?
I wish it was that simple.
Okay, well, that's what I want to know, because I thought that once you're in, always in.
All I did was move. I moved back to New York, and I stopped going to the temples. I stopped going to the meetings. I stopped dealing with them altogether. I stopped any relationships that I had with any other Masons out there in the field. All right, because in the field they consider is outside the temple. Anything outside the temple is the field. And nothing from the field is to be dragged into the temple. In essence, you got to take off your boots your muddy boots before you enter the home. Okay, so the temple is a sanctuary. I didn't associate myself with the temple anymore or the brothers. So therefore, all they did was they started to realize that I was separating myself, and I guess somebody snitched on me or something like that and said that I was talking to Gentiles or whatever. And they sent me a New Year's card. It said, Happy New Year's for 3060 was the year, which was 2 years ago. They sent me this card saying Happy New Year's to the address that I'm at now. And I never registered as me being here at this address. So they sent me that card as a reminder to let me know that they knew where I lived at. That was it.
So they're watching you, but they're not, like, hurting you or going, you know, like some of the stories you've heard in my life or other people who have been victimized by these evildoers. So they're basically, they're not actively trying to hurt you at this point in time?
I don't think so. I haven't heard any bullets zing past my head in some years.
Well, I'm sure you would know. Is it the Masons? I mean, can you tell us who you were with?
You know, see, I can't tell who might try to kill me and win. You know, I'm only living on a wing and a prayer here. That basically, I know that I've committed so-called treason to the order. I know that if they see fit, they can try to kill me, all right? But also, I know the military standpoint in it, that basically killing me after I've spoken to so many people, in fact, will make me a martyr, and they don't want to do that. I do know that point. And the second point is that the best way for me to go is in an accident, and I don't see me opening myself up for accidents too easy. So it's like you never know. Actually, you know, you really just have to give your life to your own personal responsibility and trust in your Creator to help you do what is best and guide your path. That is it, and that's all I've chosen to do. I just trust my Creator to help guide my path. You know, help that gut instinct that I have. Oh, don't go over here because you might get smoked, and don't do this because you might get smoked over here. You know, I'm trusting in that gut instinct that I have with my Creator.
Well, you know, I think it's a fact that we're all given that basic gut instinct.
Yes.
But it is obviously suppressed in the masses, as we've demonstrated here, and, you know, fluoride, and the list goes on and on. But people who get into societies like you were part of, they not only are aware of this gut, but they're actually taught how to develop it.
Totally true. That's totally true. Taught how to.
So is that where these rituals come in? I mean, I'm assuming, or I'm just guessing, maybe in these meetings or things that you have, you're told, oh, you really do have more power than we're letting those little sheeple down there know, and so I'm going to show you how to use it. Is that where rituals might come in later down the road?
Number one, all rituals that are done on the group perspective inside the orders are done primarily to snatch life energy, to snatch spiritual energy, or to reincarnate a spirit.
So they're not using this third eye or these abilities that we all have but that are suppressed. They're not using it in a good way, obviously. So it's possible to use these things for evil.
Oh, everything that you could possibly think of can be used to the definition of what you conceive to be evil.
Well, why would God let that happen? Or God, the Creator, whatever we choose to call Him, why would He let the good people who have these abilities not access them, but the bad people who are using them for bad, why would He allow that?
Well,
isn't that kind of against what's written? I thought good is always to prevail.
The Creator or prime mover that set all this up, in which is enigma. It's an enigma to everyone, everything. You could find the most enlightened gray alien, space being, reptilian, it doesn't matter. They still don't know shit about the prime mover. Nobody knows. You know, that is what all of us have understood, that nobody understands the true meaning of the prime mover, that the prime mover is truly the unmanifested of all things manifested. Basically, it's in everything, but you just can't seem to put a label on it. Okay? So the true creator, the prime mover, is not good nor evil. That can only be a limited suggestion by one of us. The true creator cannot possibly see itself as good or evil. That doesn't make sense. You know, for us to call ourselves intelligent and to talk about the prime source of intelligence is a matter in which we just can't discuss, you know, literally. As far as
so that's just the secret meetings that they would have or that they do conduct. That's the only time that these abilities are basically talked about.
Yeah, the so-called bad guys, the only reason they have more access to these abilities is because they take their lives, they take their life and dedicate it to hiding the truth from you. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've definitely found that out. Of course, there's a lot more we would like to know. Long, I could listen to you all night, but I don't want to start missing our breaks already, and then here we are 8 hours later. So
one thing, Christie.
Oh, go ahead.
Throw this out there. The Vatican, when the Library of Alexandria, which was the biggest library in the world, all right, and still, if it was still standing, is the biggest library in the world today. All right, that library, before they burned it, okay, Alexander the Great and his constituents and cohorts took out almost everything out of that building. And they put it into their buggies and stuff like that, and their horse-driven things, and they burned that library down. That stuff was taken back to Babylon, all right, well, which we call today Egypt or whatever. It was taken back there and then transported when Rome started up, when the same priesthood, they took all that and put it into the catacombs up under the Vatican. That you have 25 square miles of books, parchments, scrolls, and information and history that is never seen to the public. Never seen to the public. And very few copies of that exist within the secret societies resting on top of the ground. That's it. You know what I mean? There's all the information. They have taken it, and they even acted like they burned most of it. And they didn't. They kept it. They didn't burn all that stuff. They just burned the parts that was accessible to you. So they took your great-great-great-great-great-grandmother's book and burned that. You know, cut off her head, took her books, burned that, but kept the original stuff for themselves. That is the problem. So you can take your break now. I got to run to the bathroom anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, all right. Let's take a little break, and we'll come right back and continue that conversation and get into the rituals and meaning behind it here with Long at Truth Brigade Radio. Wow, you've given us a ton of information already, and I know there's a lot of callers, and when we go to take callers, I promise we'll get to every single one of them. Uh-oh, what happened to Long? There it is. Okay. You are here, right? It seems like we're having a few glitches in the sound here and there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Wow. Okay, so we pretty much heard your story and how you, you probably won't tell us all the things you learned there, but I would like to start this segment talking about the types of rituals and things that they are involved with.
Okay.
I mean, is this like a Bohemian Grove type ritual of you?
Bohemian Grove, you have all the Jesuits normally go there. The Jesuits and their highest servants. So, like they said, all the politicians are at Bohemian Grove, and Alex Jones supposedly blew the whole lid off of all of that, and yet he's a member to one of the Jesuits' global elitist societies. But anyway.
Yes. What is he a member of?
You could go and look at, type this into your Google search bar. Exposing Alex Jones, or Alex Jones Exposed, I think it is. Alex Jones Exposed. And the second site that pops up from the top is the site that is dedicated to exposing him and his nature, his true nature.
Illuminati News, is that what it is?
No. Matter of fact,
that's the second one. The first one is Alex Jones Exposed, InfoWars and Prison Planet as Disinformation. This is OpposingDigits.com. The second one that popped up is Illuminati News, Alex Jones Exposed. Then the third one is Alex Jones Exposed on AboveTopSecret.com.
Wow, they added some more stuff to it. Okay, I'm going to it right now to see which site it is. Okay, this is the one right here. I'm about to post it into the chat room.
So you're saying he's a member of a secret society?
He's a member of not a secret society. It's a globalist faction of the Society of Jesus. And you can find,
what's the name of it?
That's the thing. You can find, I don't know the exact name of it. You can find it all right here at this site. And his ID exposing him to this. He's an honorary member of this society.
So is that the reason he never talks about the Jesuits?
Well,
that would make sense.
Exactly. But I can't, there's a ton of information to this site. I can't begin to list down everything that he's involved in. But
okay, so you're saying he's not only a member of the society, is he a member of Bohemian Grove?
Member of Bohemian, I can't confirm that one. I can't confirm he's a member of that. I definitely know he's a lackey. He is a lackey, like Charlie Sheen, Martin Sheen, Rosie O'Donnell. Those are all lackeys. They're here to influence what the Jesuits want. And make no doubt about it, the Jesuits want revolution. They want revolt. They want you to hate George Bush, their puppet. They want you to hate Condoleezza Rice. They want you to get up with your guns and start going out there into the street and going nuts. They want that. That is their whole scheme for the centuries. They have been doing that, usurping governments. And since they placed their pawns and their puppets into government, note that there is nothing more hateable than their preferred puppets. That's how they always...
Well, okay, that's exactly what's going on, and they did a great job. Yeah, we hate everyone, Bush and, Condoleezza, but aren't they... why would they go out and get us to hate their own people and take up arms or create a war against their own people?
Because after you're so sick of war and knocked down and defeated, they can instrument their plans. Because there is order out of chaos.
Because they know that they'll win, and if some, wacko goes nuts, then they have an excuse for martial law and total, as if it's not total control right now, but let's say 99.9% control, but if they get somebody to cross that line like they're hoping for, then they know that the battle's already won because they're already right there to pick up the pieces.
In the Jesuit oath, you've seen that, which they deny altogether, that this never existed. But anyway, in the Jesuit oath, they openly admit that they shall sink as low as to act as a Jew amongst Jews and to preach from their pulpits. Okay? They play both sides of the track, both sides. And when they're confronted with a fellow Jesuit on the other side of the fence, that they will, to the utmost, reject their Holy Father, the Pope, and Jesus Christ, and act as if they are completely against all of it. And they are going towards each other, leading the battle. The Civil Rights Movement, which you'll hear many Zionist haters, Jew haters, and such, they'll always say the Civil Rights Movement was, at the front of their lines were Jews. The Jews, they pushed the whole Civil Rights Movement from beginning to end. All right. Well, they weren't Jews. There was either Jesuits or Jesuit coagulators. Straight up, there was no Jews involved in the Civil Rights Movement. Not one, because Jews are fiction anyway. There's no such thing as a Jew. It's Yiddish.
Okay, so then that explains why some people can have radio shows and say certain things on mainstream media and other people can't.
Oh, yeah. The Jews don't control the media. Rothschild himself has already admitted that he's the purse carrier of the Pope, He's already admitted it. The head of the Federal Reserve is Rothschild, and Rothschild has admitted that he serves the Pope, plain and simple. There is nothing in doubt about it. Not to mention, let's just take this for example. Let's say, for example, that the Jews, the inner circle of Jews, the hierarchy of so-called Jews ran the world, okay? Let's say that. Then how do you hold them accountable? Because if you question somebody, are you a Jew? And they could easily say no, okay? But if you question somebody, are you a Jesuit? Are you a devout Roman Catholic? They cannot deny it. They can't deny it because they're hemmed in paperwork, all right? There's a paper trail. With the Jews, there's no paper trail. There's no paper trail for something that doesn't exist. Jews don't exist, really, on paper. They don't. They are either Yiddish or they're not. And if they're not Yiddish, then that means they're not even a part of the human family. And how can you hold a fiction accountable? Basically, we have a problem where we don't have a person or people to hold accountable. So we have people like George Bush, Condoleezza Rice, and all of them. Okay, they're out there in the open in front of us to see, dangling in front of us as accountability. We can hold them accountable. But who controlling them is accountable? All right? That's what we have to look at. And if you look at every picture, if you look at all the advisors, you want to see who is behind the throne, not those who sit upon it. Those who sit upon it make no decisions, and they haven't made any decisions for over 2,000 years. Those who sit behind the throne is the priesthood. The priesthood has always sat behind the throne, and they will continue to conduct their affairs using these so-called puppets. The priesthood is the one you wish to blame because they are the ones withholding all the information from you. They are the ones that are the advisors. For example, Barack Obama. His leading foreign advisor is nothing more than who? The same man that was a mentor to Henry Kissinger. Need I say more the name Henry Kissinger for people to understand that Henry Kissinger is a war criminal? He's a criminal, straight up. There's no doubts about that. That's established. Criminal, traitor, treasonist, all right? Okay, so his leading mentoree is Barack Obama's foreign advisor, leading foreign advisor. That should tell you something. Henry Kissinger is a Jesuit. Anybody who's mentored under him is influenced by the Jesuit order or a Jesuit themselves, one or the other. Or like Father Franco, whatever his name was that hung up on me, a Jesuit for what, 7 years? 47 years.
Yeah. Oh, no, but the Vatican doesn't have enough money to feed the homeless and hungry in Africa. What are you talking about? Who would we sell the property to? That was a really good answer, Mr. Jesuit.
I love that guy. when you have the Pope's robe in general, just a robe laced in sheer gold, okay, that's 24-karat gold laced on the Pope's
I know! That's what I asked him, and so that's where he came up with the asking a question with the question, well, who would we sell it to? For those of you out there streaming or on the, who did not have the opportunity to hear a Jesuit hang up on us, and not just any Jesuit, might I add. He's clearly a butt buddy of the Pope. He runs their publishing company and all of the books and goes and visits with him regularly. So it wasn't just any Jesuit. And it was kind of cool that they hung up on us. I got to say, that's the first time we've ever been hung up on.
I thought it was, matter of fact, I feel that I'm in debt to you, Christie, for giving me the opportunity to question the Jezzy online. I felt so blessed, really.
I bet. Someone like you with all your knowledge, especially, you started throwing laws out there and, things that he could not deny. I'm glad that you got to enjoy that.
Yes, I so thankful.
And let me sit back with my mic on mute and have a good old time.
Even though if it was 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever, before he got frustrated and left the conversation. But whatever it may be, 30 seconds, I feel great to have that chance because these guys avoid me at all costs. Right here in New York, in the Bronx, there's a huge Jesuit place. They go there and they meet up at this college several times at what's the name of this college? Let me think here. I forgot the name of the college. But they meet up here in the Bronx, and I've tried a couple times to talk to these guys on camera, and they will not do it. They will not do it. They're spies. They're insurgents. They know it. They've taken an oath to be that, to be a spy. They've taken an oath to do that. And yet, the American people are just, they act like they don't want to accept it. Oh, these guys walking around, these white collars, these old men, they can't possibly be involved in such espionage. And so these are the best spies in the world, the best. And they have so much practice at it. Just the fact that you have to take 31 years of training before you take the oath, 31 years. And so they don't call it an oath. They like to call it a vow, okay, like a vow of silence or a vow to God or a vow to this or a vow to that. Like you kept saying, we take vows, okay? So the wording is important when talking to them, if you can catch them the way you caught them, Christie. Well, actually, sound guy, whoever one of you guys set that interview up, I applaud your ability to do so because these guys do not like to be recorded in a place where they could be challenged. They hate that. And so they was able to be challenged. He was able to be challenged online, and that was an amazing thing. Amazing thing. I loved it. But, yeah, to the stories. You or anybody else or the primary guest that was for tonight has to explain what they went through dealing with this whole ritual sacrificing, whether they was left alive or whatever they feel like something was stolen from them spiritually. That's what I really want to talk about, really, as far as addressing what people feel when dealing with this situation.
Okay, but before we move on, I just wanted to make, or did I hear you clearly or understand you clearly that basically the Jesuits are involved to some degree in all of these secret societies and could possibly be one of our greatest threats? Is that a safe assumption?
I don't think that's a big assumption at all. In fact, my presumption and what I hold to be fact and key is that the Jesuit order, the Society of Jesus, are the leading enemies of the continental United States Republic. Plain and simple.
Okay, that's pretty much what I said. You said it better, but okay. So that they're basically our greatest threat. They're in everything, everywhere, and yeah, basically the puppet masters.
Yes, I have not seen any threat more hostile than themselves. None.
Okay, and so is that where these different types of rituals originated from?
No, the rituals itself have been in practice for eons. Past any book that I've seen, they have been in practice forever, it seems like. These rituals are ascended from so-called ascended masters or so-called gods. These rituals are the key elements and the truth of science and alchemy. This is the reality of things. These rituals are nothing more than real science. All right, they call it rituals, but yet it's no different, really, than you setting up a chemistry set with beakers and a Bunsen burner and so on and so forth. There's no difference. They just hold the key principles of the absolute. That's the difference, not belief. Science is a means to the end. So basically, while you're conducting an experiment to find out something, they're conducting a reality to do something. All right? So they're finding the means. They have the means at hand to conduct that experiment. They know what the result will be. You, on the other hand, with your beakers and Bunsen burner, are hoping for a result or waiting to see the result. They know the result. That's the difference in true alchemy and science. That's the difference. So basically, these guys, all they have really is the education of the absolute. No belief, no faith involved. The education of the absolute. The laws of creation itself is what they hide from us all. That's what they hide, the laws of creation. They don't hide anything else, just that. Because by hiding the laws of creation, they therefore separate you and add a middleman between you and creation itself, all right? Or whatever you choose to call that creation itself, prime mover, Jesus Christ, Father of Jesus Christ, Mary is God, whatever you want to call it, all right? The creation of all things has law, and they are practicing that law, or Allah, which is pronounced falsely as Allah, and it means all law. So you have all law, and then you have God, and then you have man, all right? Man makes up his own doctrine and rules and stuff like that. God is the government above man, or a governmental ordinance department, and Allah, or all
like a government law, agency,
or all law, is literally the law of creation, which cannot be changed, which cannot be construed by man's hand by any means. So therefore, you have to cut out these middlemen. You have to cut out God. You have to cut out man and go right to all law. All law is the Creator's law itself, the Creator, the prime mover. That is the law in which you are subjected to, and no other. That is their whole grasp on things. That they understand this, they use this, and everything else that you make up, believe in, have faith in, okay, fine, go with it. You know what I mean? Because they know they have the absolute. So they are willing to say, go ahead, read this book, read that book, and think you know something, all right? Because they're going to go, if you actually challenge one of them, they're going to go to the all law. They're going to go to the creation's law, and therefore rebut any claim that you possibly have, unless you claim the same as them, that now here in the presence of my almighty Creator, I am telling the whole truth as I know it to be. All right? This is their law, all right? A sworn testimony. What are you wagering? What are you putting up to say that you're telling the truth, all right? To say that you're representing the Creator of all. You have to literally state that you're representing the Creator of all because they're saying it. Rothschild cannot use your name and a Social Security number and all this other crap that they create, your birth certificate, unless, well, he cannot do so if you actually say that your Creator has given you the authority to conduct your business as you see fit, okay? Because that's what he's doing. He's doing that. So if you don't come to the level that he's at, then you immediately are shunned aside and destroyed. As I quote the Bible, which is the law book, that is the law book, that and the Quran as well. It clearly states that those that are lukewarm shall be spewed from my mouth. So you have to be either hot or cold. You have to be either a shepherd or a sheep. You have to be either a master or a slave. Anything in the middle will be trampled upon, will be just spewed away, will be nothing. You have to be one or the other. So basically, if you don't assert yourself as a master, as a shepherd, then you are automatically in the line with the sheep, with the flock. That's it. So it's good. You have to be a good follower to be a good leader. And you want to follow good shepherds like the alleged Jesus Christ in the Bible. All right? I hate to say that even because I said that Jesus Christ is the Pope since 312 A.D. But the message in which it stands for is plain and simple, all right? The real so-called Jews might have been called Yahshua ben Yosef, Haru, Mithra, and many other different names. But the following of this principle, that all of you are gods, and that all of you can do as I do and much greater, as it says in Luke, okay? If you literally go by that, then you are following a good shepherd. That's a good shepherd that tells you that. You can do everything I could do. Like if you say I'm so educated and so blessed or whatever, if you say all that shit, and I'm telling you that you can do everything I could do and much greater. You can go past it. Take it farther. Go with it. That's a good shepherd. A bad shepherd will tell you, these are the laws that I've laid down for you. You go by this or nothing else, and I subject you to torture, mayhem, gnarling of teeth, and the whole 9 yards if you violate what I've laid down for you. Okay? That is a bad shepherd. That's not a good one. All right? You got to be a good follower to be a good leader. And fortunately, I followed both. I followed the bad guys to find out what they're doing, and I followed the good guys to find out what they're doing, to get both perspectives. The Bible is an open book for the bad guys and the good guys, all right? Neither of the two have had their chance to say, we haven't got our chance to speak. They can't say it because both sides have got to speak. Bad shepherds, good shepherds have got the opportunity to speak in the Bible. That's their proclamation. And if you choose to, or proclamation by law is public address or public notice. So if you choose to go on one side or the other, that's on you. Free will. Okay? That's it. Free will. If you want to go with the devil or Lucifer or the bringer of light, okay, go with the bringer of light. Go with Lucifer. If you want to go with Yahweh or Yahshua put down on paper that you must do these things to be enlightened, then go with that. Lucifer says you could be involved in the teachings of light, which is the masonry side of things. You could be involved with that and get all types of knowledge and information from the different entities and beings that you can control and manipulate to do your bidding. And on the other side, the so-called good side, you have where you pursue you go by the law that says you treat all as you would have them do unto you, treat them as they do to you, and you literally learn as you go, and you progress, and you do not make oaths, vows, submissions to no other creature, but all law and the creation of everything. That's the only submission you have, that you submit to the prime mover's laws. That's it. Everything else is out the window. But when it comes down to the other side, Lucifer, then it's all about knowledge and who is it that you submit to is only because you're going to get what you can from them and you can kill them later. It's kind of the philosophy. You know what I mean? And you're not supposed to kill according to the good side unless you're in self-defense or whatever. But the Luciferian teachings are like, if you feel like smoking your teacher, that you learned everything you can from them and you want to progress past them, then 9 times out of 10 you're going to have to take their life. That's the Luciferian teachings. They're not good for those who choose to follow the...
So they're basically worshiping Lucifer.
Yep, like the light worker cult, which most of them are good people. They just don't know what they're really following. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's the 8th, and that would make the date 888. All right, that's the Ra-Hor Nuit special number. That's the Whore of Babylon special reincarnation day. These light workers, they think like the Ashtar Command and stuff like that, and the Galactic Federation, the Palladian Group, the Christ consciousness of this, and the Beta Reticulans and all this other stuff that they throw in front of them.
Are those good people?
Huh?
Are those good people?
A lot of the so-called light workers, that you'll see them online all the time. They'll say love and light, in the end of their messages, and love and light this and love and light that. And,
but that's the real light, not the Luciferian light.
Well, they think so.
Who's they? You mean the light Whoa.
Light workers, yeah, they've been tricked. They've been bamboozled into following something that they don't understand. Lucifer is the most radiant, beautiful, manipulative angel. All right, everything is about his glamour, his vanity, and yet he adds that glamour and vanity in a spirituality concept, and therefore tricks a lot of good people. So tomorrow is 888, which that's the day that a lot of these light workers that are following this stuff, this cult, like the Gold Ring game that the user on YouTube known as Rysa5, RYSA5. His real name is Richard. And this Gold Ring game has literally entrapped well over a few thousand people at least. And the light worker cult itself has millions around the world, unchallenged. If you type in light worker cult online, you're probably not going to find anything. Last time we did, we couldn't find anything. These guys are literally getting manipulated by a certain group of entities in which I can't put a label on. I cannot say this is the so-called angel of light, Lucifer himself, or those acting on its behalf. I cannot say, but what I
Well, they're not worshiping, obviously, the same people as these secret societies and Jesuits, so it's not that light. So if we've established that these orders are worshiping Lucifer, then it's safe to assume that it would be another light that is not of Lucifer.
Well, where do you think the term came from? If you can't beat them, join them. You know, so we have Lucifer can call himself whatever the hell he wants to. Angel of light.
Well, what is this Ashtar command that you brought up? What is that, to your knowledge? Or I've heard of it a few times, and I don't really know. So can you enlighten me?
Have you heard of the goddess Ishtar?
Yeah, I've heard, but not something I've studied.
Another name for the Babylonian whore, or the one who rides upon the beast with the triple crowns. All right, the whore that influences the Pope to fornicate with all the nations, to engulf you in her lust and all this other stuff. All right, that's Ishtar, which is also Ashtar Command or Galactic Federation. For all the UFO chasers out there and the people that have their eyes pinned to the stars, you know, this like Earth sucks. Why do I have to go through this crap? Oh, there got to be a way out of this. You are the perfect fucking bait for Ishtar Command, Ashtar Command, Galactic Federation, and all these other affiliations, or the Palladian Circle and the Golden Ring game, and the list goes on and on and on. The thing is, though, that many so-called light workers or bringers of light and all this other stuff, or way showers, as they're also called, they don't understand that this Galactic Federation is another front. It's another ploy. That's all it is. It's controlled opposition, where they want you to ignore all the problems going on, but know that there's a lot of problems going on. Ignore all that as far as being able to change it. Take that from your mind. You can't change it. All you can do is leave, all right? So they're telling them that they could be picked up. Matter of fact, y'all remember the Heaven's Gate thing?
Mm-hmm.
They was waiting for the comet to come or the asteroid or whatever, and the trail of it was going to be a ship. They killed themselves, and then their spirit will be beamed up to the ship and then taken to wherever, taken away from this horrible atrocity, Earth. All right? So if you're familiar with that, there's nothing more than the same thing going on on a bigger scale, and it's going unchallenged by all means. So good people that have failed to the point of hopelessness in making a change, in surviving these situations that we face today, these people are literally about to embark on a spaceship that they don't know if it's going to take them to another world as a colony of slaves. They don't know if it's going to take them to another underground base. They have no idea what it is. But when we say Illuminati religion and such, remember, the Illuminati religion is based on what? Ancient African, ancient Moorish, ancient Egyptian philosophies and you know what I mean? It's based on these things. So you have Ra, Isis, Osiris, whatever. All of those things are wrapped into the Lightworker cult thing. All of those things. And if you go to a lot of their sites that they have, like I could probably bring up a few of them. But if you start typing in Lightworker and stuff like that, they got lightworkers.org, and they got a few different sites. And if you go through these things and look at a few of their links, they're all talking about this date to be picked up by some type of ship or something like that. This thing has blatantly gone unnoticed, all right, online. It has gone unnoticed. That's a hard thing to do. Even on YouTube, none of these so-called light workers ever get their accounts suspended. None of them. Okay, Christie, we don't have to go there with how many times you've been suspended.
I don't just get suspended. I get completely deleted, just erased, like no remnants of my existence ever. Yeah, not suspended, deleted. No notice, no response to my inquiries, nothing. I just disappear.
Mm-hmm. So it's like one of these light workers, right, that I know of personally, her name is Selena. Also, she goes by the name of Firefly or Firefox or something like that online. She works for the EU, all right, the European Union, which is what a part of the whole global elitist plan, okay? We know that much. Now, she gave a speech on global warming and the effects of it, the dangers of it, and all that. And guess what? Shortly after, she talked about love and light and don't pay attention to the chemtrails because we have a protective shield of our aura manifested by the almighty Risa. And she literally prayed to Risa, okay? Like, oh, thank Risa. Thank Risa for the food we're about to eat. Thank Risa for the blue sky and beautiful air that we have, all right? And somebody with her can say, what about that chemtrail right there falling on us? And she's like, oh, I have the protective shield granted me by the protective gold ring circumference of the third and the fifth and the fourth dimension and the circumference of the... It's like, whoa, the brainwashing is abundant. It's just abundant. There is no separation of the physical form and the spirit because they all work entwined and in unison with each other. But yet, the gold ring people, the light worker people have been literally programmed to think that their body means nothing at all. Nothing. All right? But that body has a huge dealing with you because the spirit within that body, entwined with that body, is on a learning experience, a mission of understanding and awareness with that body as its car, as its vehicle to function. If you're going over a road and you have a vehicle and you feel the bumps of the road, you now learn from that. Maybe I should move the wheel left or right on my return trip so I can avoid these bumps and don't mess up my my front end alignment. Okay? It's the same thing with your body. If you stub your toe on a curb, okay, you don't say, well, I am not of the body of the flesh, really, so that pain really doesn't matter. I will not learn from that to pick my foot up a little bit higher the next time. It's all entwined with each other. There's no separation. There's no separation by any means. In fact, that's an atrocity to think there's a separation, just to think it, because everything is a part of everything. Everything. The so-called evil is a part of the good. The so-called good is a part of the evil. So therefore, you have to determine what is good for you, what is not good for you. That's it. So when you're dealing with all this shit out here, and these light workers, and all these devil worshippers, and all this other shit, you have free will bestowed upon you. Free will. There is nothing forcing you to do anything. And you can say, oh, well, somebody put a gun to my head. Somebody tied me down. You're still not forced. Still not. You still have the mindset, the spirituality to understand that I don't have to go along with this. even if you can lock down my body physically in this sense that I can understand, I will not go along with this. That's when people have to stand up for themselves in spirit, because it is a spiritual attack. Just like the Vatican would force people to confess to something that they knew wasn't true. So they would be cutting on you, stretching you in the rack, hanging you upside down, and all types of other tortures and stuff there, stick ice picks in your balls, whatever they might conceive to be torture. They did all these things, and they asked you, will you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, the Pope? Will you accept it? And people will either say, yes, I'll accept it. It's in the pain, damn. Okay, and then they'll kill him. Or, no, they don't accept it, and they'll torture him to death. Same thing now. They put you in jail when you disagree. All right? And then you have 3 days in jail to be tortured. You're allowed 3 days to be tortured, to torture a confession out of you. That metal bench you're sitting on, those nasty meals you're eating in the jailhouse for those 3 days are your torture to try to get a confession out of you. Nothing has changed. It hasn't changed. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They just put different labels on it. They don't call torture torture anymore. They call it interrogation. They call it national security sake. They put all these labels. We don't have to go along with these labels because they wish to change words and definitions to suit their own meanings and clauses. We don't have to go with that. We have to understand that they are trying to torture us to give up our birthright, to give up our unalienable rights given to us by God or the Creator of all. Okay? They're trying to get us to submit that to them, to say, okay, forget what the Creator said for me. You got it. You're the man. I'll bow down to you. Kiss your feet. Where your sandals at? Let me get my foot on. Let me get my tongue on your toe there. All right. That's what they want from us. That's what they want. Confession. They want your willful submission, even if they have to use force, which is fear tactics mainly. All right. How long have they been threatening everybody that the world's going to end? They've been threatening you for I don't know how long. The world's going to end. Repent to our God, repent to your Lord, or die and suffer the awful death.
That's true. And it's always government that appears to be your savior, right?
Yeah, that's them. That's your savior. But then if you see the Bible and it tells you the good side and the bad side that you may see, all right? The bad guys got to talk, the good guys got to talk. Like in Matthew, where the guy came to Jesus Christ and said, are you going to pay tribute to Caesar? All right, tribute to Caesar is your today's taxes. That's a tribute. If you have to pay a tax on something, that means you don't own it, that you're nothing more than a renter of that thing. Okay?
Exactly.
So he said, are you going to pay tribute to Caesar? And Jesus said, what is tribute to Caesar? And he showed him a penny, and that penny has Caesar's face on it. So Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. It has nothing to do with me. All right? So basically saying, why is it that you have to go out and get something with this man's face on it and give it back to him? That's insanity. And as Matthew was trying to tell you, that's insanity. You want to go out there and find this guy's drawers and give it to him.
Yeah. Wow.
That's property. That's his personal belongings, his personal possessions. The simplicity of the Bible is so undermined. And instead, all the dogmatic fashions are placed out there for people to look at. All of that. Everything that says you got to be a servant, you got to be submissive, turn the other cheek, those are the things that are propagated. But what about the stuff that says you are God, you can do what you want to do? What about all that? That's left out in the preachers and the pulpits. That's left out.
But no, obviously we do challenge the status quo, obviously, or we wouldn't be here on Talk Show, I'd be on Fox or something.
Yeah, but I want somebody.
And it is definitely the right thing to do. You can't always believe what you're told. Somebody told me, don't believe anything you hear, or what is it, half of what you see and nothing that you hear, or something like that. It was Pretty relevant, though.
It is. I know what you're talking about. It is.
And even you can't even believe what you see, especially knowing that they're masters of illusion and have been practicing, well, for centuries, thousands of years. So all throughout the ages. So we definitely have a lot of reality versus illusion to sort through. So this is just one segment of it. And as long as you're willing to stay with us tonight long, we'll you know, we got Sound Guy to challenge every single word you say.
We got one big puzzle, and each of us are a piece to it and have to add to this puzzle to try to put it together. That's just the bottom line. Despite what our opinions may be and the facts may be, we have to put this puzzle together as to survive as a people. You know, our spirits in general have to survive this and go on to be free, because we are bonded. All of us are bonded in one way or another, and we're escaping different levels of it, but yet we have to put the whole puzzle together to really figure out how all of us can escape this maze of crap. We have to. It's a must, you know, so we're all needed for that regardless. So I was hoping to get somebody's story of how they feel they was ritually abused, or...
You were hoping to get somebody's story.
Somebody, you know.
Well, how about mine?
Well, let's go, Christie. What's up? Big it.
Okay, well, like I said, I when we scheduled this show, I had no idea that I was a survivor. At this point in time, I do not believe that I know I've, you know, been abused in, you know, certain periods of my life, which, of course, I found out was all a setup, all stemming from those parts of my childhood I told you I didn't really remember, but I had certain memories or visions, or I wasn't really sure what they were. I mean, I knew what visions were because I had them all the time, premonitions. You know, it was commonplace in my life. It's what got me to this point living. But I had no idea that I was actually one of the people at Bohemian Grove 3 years in a row, sitting on some pretty big knees there watching real live, not effigies, real live people burn. I was at the Grove with my family. Anyways, I grew up in a family that I guess my grandparents were regular members there. In fact, from the time my mother was abused and had to attend. So,
do you?
Yeah. Anyways, those are the things that changed. I had, you know, certain memories, and then I did some investigation and things on my own, and I'm able to put the pieces together now. Of course, I have not recalled all of my memories. I can't wait for that to happen. Woohoo! Not. But anyways, that's the gist of it. My grandpa was a real live Nazi spy. So he was not only one of the head guys in our military and on the psychology, mind control, you know, ground floor. In fact, as we found last night, CIA mind control assassin was actually one of my grandpa's victims. It's just a trip. But, yeah, so why the hell do rich fucking pukes go to places like that off of course, our tax dollars, money that they stole from us, and feel that they should be the only ones to have access to this knowledge, and they can go around abusing people, turning them into assassins, burning real live people, homeless people, you know, the sex trafficking rings that they didn't want anything to do with. Now I know what happens to the girls, or some of them. What the hell? Were you part of this?
Well, when it comes down to like Bohemian Grove, that's another chapter. That's not something that that I've known the Rosicrucians to do, a cremation of care ritual. The Bohemian Grove are the number one controllers over the continental American jurisdiction. So they are the members of the American company, 9 times out of 10, and a few of its foreign affiliates. They are the ones who literally are orchestrating much of what's going on here. So the Rosicrucians were in those positions, most of which are considered gangsters. You know, like Roman Irish, well, not Roman Irish, but Roman Catholic.
Rockefeller, Schultz, you know, the Father Bush. So they were all there. I met them all.
Yeah.
And we know they're gangsters. We know they're evil sons of bitches. But they obviously feel that, you know, there's meaning behind what they do. The meaning behind me going there, I was taught what would happen to good little boys and girls who don't do what they're told.
Mm-hmm.
But what is their meaning behind these horrendous actions?
Well, the cremation of care, okay, well, that particular ritual is literally to get rid of all the care that you have for the Goyim and the Gentiles, because that's a conflict that many Masons have. They have a conflict in dealing with what they're doing to the Gentiles. Okay, for example, here's the thing. If my mission overall is to bring a certain area, a certain radius of people, okay, into submission of sociological conform, well, that's my mission, and I know that I have to do all types of dirt to bring them into this. Now, that dirt can be killing. That dirt can be arranging people to be killed. That dirt can be mutilation and rape of consciousness. So even if I enjoy some of it, it is not for my enjoyment. It is for the whole, okay? So basically, when I do this ritual with my other fraternal brothers, I am literally getting rid of this care and this guilt trip that is levied upon me, you know, by my own doing, or by the spirit within that is telling me this shit is wrong. Okay, so I have to get rid of that. That's the cremation of care. So destroying an innocent person, a virgin, a person that has nothing to do with any of this, by destroying them and sucking the life from them or donating them to the higher cause that we serve, donating their spirit to this mission, is literally getting rid of our caring and our consciousness for this. You know, that's what it's supposed to do. That's what it's supposed to do. But many of them walk away still feeling...
Didn't work, though.
Oh, hell
didn't
no,
work with me.
It don't work altogether. You have these guys that are full submitting to these other entities that are not even of this world. Their vibration is totally wrong for this world. That's why they have to incarnate through immaculate conception or through using a man as a host and inseminate a woman and reincarnate themselves, or through the ways of ritual where there will be a circle of at least 7 guys chanting and focusing energy on this spirit to be reincarnated through ritual sacrifice. Now, the hostess, the one who is the child is being brought through, she is a sacrifice, whether she knows it or not. Even though she's left alive, she's a sacrifice because her body is a vessel for the new manifestation to come through. All right, so that old spirit that wants to be reincarnated here on this plane or incarnated period, never been here before, shall become a part of this vibrational pattern here in this density through that woman, which is the most natural, viable resource on this planet, woman, all right, that has the ability to help nurture and bring forth life from any realm into this realm here, because your whole genetics and DNA is structured for this. And your spirit is universal. It can go anywhere. Your spirit is the spirit of the Most High, prime mover, true creator. And therefore, you have no limit. So you're also the ultimate vessel for something else's, someone else's creation. That's all it is to it. So basically, the Bohemian Grove is nothing more than a meeting of a bunch of guys who feel they run stuff, which in a lot of cases dealing with the economics and such, they do. But they want full control. So to have that full control, they must make chaos. They must do things that they don't feel well with inside their heart, knowing the laws of creation. So the cremation of care is nothing more. That ritual is nothing more than something to pass it off, like the hot potato game. You know, I don't want this hot potato, pass it off. That's all that is. They want to literally clear their consciousness. And they think that by ritual they could do so, but they can't.
So tell me about this Immaculate Conception.
Well, we see that the story of Jesus being born, all right, that story was taken from Aset, Asar, and Heru. Heru being the one who Jesus is. So this Immaculate Conception. Okay, so the stories of the Bible, they come from this old dynasty. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I had carbonated drinks. Oh, but anyway, they come from this Old Testament, Old Dynasty stories. And that old dynasty was ancient Sumer, Egypt, ancient Nubia, all of those stories. And they just take it and they reformat it. Okay, the original story was Aset and Aset and Asar were brother and sister, right? Born from the God Nun, which rose from the primordial waters as the top of the Godhead. And each one of his tears or drops from him became two different gods to orchestrate throughout the world. When basically this was the foundation of government order. So anyway, Aset and Asar. Aset and Asar were allegedly great people, all right? And Asar had a brother named Set. So him and Set didn't get along with each other for the most part, but Set was devious. And Asar was supposed to be the new ruler of Egypt. When he got old, he was supposed to be the new ruler of Egypt altogether. The one who administers the law, he was supposed to be God, King, Pharaoh, the whole 9 yards. Set didn't like this. Set was driven by ego, self-determination, that he was going to be the ruler of this and all the worldly affairs. The same story is with God and Satan, all right? So God kicked Satan out of heaven, okay, blah, blah. Now, Set tricked Asar into getting into the sarcophagus, right, and he killed him, right? He killed him in the sarcophagus, and then he separated his body parts and scattered them amongst the world, right? Aset, being his loving sister, went around and gathered up all these body parts, but she couldn't find the phallus. The phallus, being the penis, was eaten by the fish god Nimrod, or it has a bunch of other names. But basically, you see this in the old pictures where you see the guy wearing a big fish hat, and like the Pope today wears the big fish hat, and he has the whole garment of the fish and all this other stuff. And that's where you also see on the back of people's bumper stickers, the whole you see a fish indicating Pisces, all right? But you'll see Jesus' name inside the fish. indicating the story that the giant fish swallowed up the guy, and he had to find his way out the fish, blah, 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 back into the light. Okay? So that's the story. Set scattered the body parts. Set gathered up all the body parts and tried to reincarnate Asar. She couldn't do so because she didn't have all the body parts. So here we have Immaculate Conception. Asar's spirit, while in the underworld, then impregnated Set through her love and through her willfulness to be the vessel in which he can come back into this world, into this plane. All right? Through that, Set was able to reincarnate Asar, and now he became Haru, or in Greek, the word Horus. So when you have Isis, Osiris, Horus, okay, that's him. And Horus became Osiris. So we have these manifestations of the same being, spirit. That's Immaculate Conception, where no male was needed to impregnate you, because when the male ejaculates, he's giving you the semen, which the semen carries the genetic structure, the seed of life, but also he's giving you the spirit of that life. So like Frankenstein, you have the body of Frankenstein, but it's not mobile. It's not an animate object until the lightning hits it. Okay? So that's why you have like the Nazis and stuff like that wearing the lightning bolts on their hands and stuff, because it symbolizes the spirit driven into them. All right? So we see this used for good and bad purposes all day long. Immaculate Conception is nothing more than a spirit reincarnating through you without the use of a man. It can do so by the woman's willful subjection to this spirit. So this spirit can be literally whispering in your ears and such, blah, blah, over and over again. I love you, you love me, you're going to bring me into this world, nurture me, blah, blah, blah. And then you feel that your biological clock is ticking. You feel that urge that you must have a child. You feel that need to reproduce. And they call that your basic genetics and biological clock stuff. But really, this is all spiritual. So then some guy comes about, and that guy is possessed with that spirit. And best believe, when he ejaculates into you, the woman, that spirit is going to be reincarnating through you, which in fact it is truly immaculate, because that guy is not acting under his own mind and his own spirit. He is acting under the power and the suggestion and the magic or manipulation of this spirit. So every one of us, all of us, have had the opportunity and have the opportunity to pick out our parents. We are all of Immaculate Conception, if you really think about it, all right? Because we have all whispered in the ears of our parents, unless we was completely deceived and therefore just placed wherever the hell we're going to go, all right? Literally, like just tricked into it. Because as a spirit, nothing can truly hide from the spirit. So the spirit of ignorance will fall for almost any trap. But the spirit has been around for a while, sees what's going on. The more education it has, the more property it holds to be of understanding and awareness. Well, there's a much harder chance in trying to trick that spirit. But everything that we have been going through is based on trickery. And the Immaculate Conception is not something based on trickery, but can be based on trickery. And therefore, you'll think that you're the dad if you're a guy, but really you're not the dad. You only contributed the genetic structure, the DNA, because this spirit has a preference in what it wants to look like, what its DNA it wants to be a part of. It can see these things. It knows these things. And because you're ignorant to it, does not make a difference. Okay? So if you have Palladian and Syrian DNA structure mixed in together, well, guess what? There's a spirit that's interested in that, and they want to use that DNA structure, and they want to incarnate through you and therefore impregnate the woman. All right? So they use the man's DNA structure, and they literally chauffeur that sperm along to that egg, and that spirit impregnates that egg along with that sperm. So you have the sperm adding the DNA, and you have the soul that is driving that sperm, giving the consciousness and the personality to that egg, which will now manifest and become a living being, unless you get an abortion.
Okay.
Oh, great, you're still there. I thought I got disconnected again.
Oh, no. Okay, well. Okay, so how does this concept that you just described to us play into the rituals of these, Illuminati?
Well, let's look at the fake Jews for one. Let's start with them. The fake Jews, okay, they normally put on robes and garments. These are the so-called Jews that have the twisty tie hair and
the Eastern Europeans. They're not from Israel.
Yeah.
They don't practice Judaism. Nothing Jewish about them.
Yeah.
Okay.
These guys. All right. They put on the full garments and robes where the woman has an opening towards her vagina, the male has an opening for his penis, and they completely don't think about lust at all, have sex, and they try to reincarnate whoever they choose to reincarnate, or summon a spirit that is in line with the man thinks. And these guys use this ancient ritual, and they literally reincarnate the spirit of their choice. That's the easiest ritual right there. That's it. All the guy is doing before he has sex is thinking constantly of what type of child he wishes to create or the spirit he wishes to reincarnate. That's it. Okay? There's nothing else involved in that. The woman is in line with the man, his woman, the so-called Jewish people, is in line with the man's doctrine. So whatever the man projects, the woman is willing to nurture and bring forth that creation of the man. Now, on the more sinister ritualistic ability, all right? Now, let's say, for instance, that my grandfather, high-level Mason, died, and I'm in contact with him while he's floating around the fourth density, right? And he's waiting to be reincarnated, all right? So he has levied upon me the responsibility of reincarnating him. And say I took this oath to him before he died, having knowledge and understanding of this. So this is what I would do, all right, as being one of the so-called quote-unquote bad guys. Kidnap any girl of fitting breeding fitting breeding status, okay? So that girl, presumptively being a virgin, will be the best for this, okay? That's where the whole virgin thing comes in at. And also the sickness of the Quran, where it states any woman that's had her menstrual cycle is of fitting breeding age. Okay, well, that's what this is. It's describing the girl that could be used. So as long as the girl has had her menstrual cycle, then that means she's fit to breed. So that means I get at least seven of my guys, right? And these guys are all thinking about what my grandfather was. All right, so whatever scriptures or whatever of him, laws that he's written, whatever, they're reading it. They're going over it, manifesting him in their minds constantly. We make a table, or it'll be like an altar, really. Honestly, it'll be like an altar. And there'll be candles on every point of this altar. The female subject shall be in the middle of this altar. The guys shall make a circle around her. They will hold their hands up high, all right, with their palms faced towards the offering, which is the subject, the girl, the female, all right, in which the spirit will manifest through. They will hold their palms face down to her, and we will decide a chant to use before the ceremony proceeds, okay? And that chant will probably be in Coptic, demonic, where the vows will be taken out, and the message will be that we summon you back into this realm, and you will be my grandfather's name, all right, and what he knows himself to be, what he labels himself as, what he went by primarily to those of importance to him. So these guys will have this circle around the girl, right, and then I, being the reincarnator, all right, and have the genetic line to my grandfather, the organic line to him, will have sex with the girl, not thinking of the lust, like how big her tits are, how fat her ass is, oh, she's sexy, none of that. But my erection will be generated solely for the purpose of reincarnating my grandfather, all right? So while the other guys are around, then I will be having sex with this girl. And then when I ejaculate, my thoughts, all right, will be projected into that. And it will open up a portal to my so-called grandfather. And he will literally jump through that portal. And that portal is linked to my spine, all right, which my spirit lies on. And therefore, that portal will go through my actually cerebrum that opens up the fourth dimension density. He'll jump through that, down my spine, and into the sperm in which he'll be traveling on. There is no miracle involved in the sperm connecting with that egg. That it's all premeditated, all pre-planned, even if you don't know about it. Even if you don't have any clue about it, that you just met this chick at the bar, you're going to bang her out, and that's that. Well, guess what? Somebody else planned that, whether you know it or not. You know, so these guys feel that the best way to go is to plan it themselves. They take responsibility. And that goes back to my other conversations I had with you before on True Brigade, bringing about sovereignty. That is full responsibility. You make your own forms, your own contracts, the whole 9 yards. Same thing goes with this. All right, this is just the other level of it. This is just the spiritual side of it, where you're making all your own rules, judgments, and deciding what's going on. Because no matter what we seem to think, we have free will all the way around the board. It's not.
Well, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
How did the girl get on the table?
Kidnapped, drugged, think of something, Spanish fly, whatever you want to call it, whatever it may be, whether it be by force.
So you're saying possibly that that the guy or people involved in this would just go rape the woman.
It is rape. It's rape.
And so it could also have something to do with why certain women can be raped more than once and never get help.
Well, also with the woman, see, her own will, once again. Let's say, for instance, that she's at a bar, okay? Say it's a 21-year-old chick. She's at the bar, and a Mason with this idea in mind, which I just described to you, approaches her and talks to her like a normal guy. You know what I mean? And like, I'm trying to kick it with you and trying to get some of that tonight, blah, 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 blah. All right? He's talking to her on a level, and he's trying to pick her up, okay? And she submits. She's willing to go with him, okay? Then when they get to wherever they go, he offers her a drink, right? She willingly accepts the drink, but does not bother to ask, did you spike my drink and in hopes to make me completely delirious and drowsy? And then he says, no, and whatever. But she never asked the question. She never asked the question from the giddy up. So she's submitting again. She never questions the so-called status or the motives of this so-called...
So you're saying a woman accepting a drink or even purchasing her own drink and somebody slipping in something, that it's the woman's fault and that it's her free choice?
To me personally, it's not her fault, but to the order, it is her fault. It's her own will.
So is it also her own will when she gets gang raped or when there's a knife to her throat or gun to her head? Is that also her fault?
Unfortunately, compared to what they feel, yes.
Okay, so a lot of these rapes were pre-planned, and that is perhaps why certain women can be raped and not get any help by the police or anyone ever.
Well, not to mention the police are nothing more than tax collectors. So for the woman to go to the police, it's like they're going to the lowest in the totem pole.
Well, I've learned that now, obviously, yeah. But I'm just saying. So, oh wow, that's pretty interesting. Okay, so what happens? You drug the woman, you do whatever, you get her pregnant, then what?
Well, that's it. After she's pregnant, okay, then she's turned back loose into society. If this is the type of ritual that we're going by, because there's two types of rituals that I know about, but that ritual right there is reincarnation that we just described. The reincarnation ritual of somebody who you want to bring back here. All right, so whether they're a fallen king, demon from another world, whatever, you know what I mean, you're reincarnating them back here into a human body.
She just goes back into society and that's it, and then what? You have to get your grandpa back into your clan, right? Well, so how do you get grandpa?
The woman is monitored, of course. Everything that she goes through will be programmed. All right, she'll probably be giving a boyfriend her memory erased. All right, and that boyfriend, she'll be thinking that she's been with that guy for years. They had a decision to make a baby. The whole 9 yards. It's like Total Recall. They'll issue you a new life. All right, they'll completely erase everything about you that was there and make a completely new life for you. So now you are literally in their grasp, and you're having this baby. You're thinking, this is my baby. This is who I have settled with because I love this man right here, and that man you could have just hooked up with last week, all right, because they gave this guy to you, all right? So basically, that guy might not even be the father. That's where the whole Immaculate Conception thing also comes from. No, that's what I'm saying. He will not be the father overall. So you literally, as the woman, have been now brainwashed completely, and they feel you signed up for it because you didn't question anything. You didn't question that you was getting a drink that could be spiked. You didn't question who you was going home with. You didn't question any of that. So to them,
you know what? Criminals don't. If you're not a criminal, you don't think that way. You know, most people think that they can, you know, drink whatever they order safely or buy whatever groceries from the store and it's going to be safe. After all, it's government approved. I mean, people don't think that way unless you're a criminal or you get fucked 1,000 times.
Or if you already know that government is Latin for governe mente, and that's control of the mind.
Yeah, well, they didn't control mind.
If you know that the government, so they approve something, and you're saying to yourself, well, let's see here. Their job is to control my mind. They approved it, so now let me go check it out and let me approve it. So if you don't do that, they feel that's on you. That's your fault. Whose fault is it for you to be ignorant? That's none of my concern. Is their idea. None of my...
You know, Long, I want to bring something up right now that relates to my story and some of the revelations in the last couple of weeks. But one of the things that I found out was that each of my significant relationships, every significant relationship I've had throughout my life, friends, husbands, boyfriends, just even who I thought were my best friends, they were all set up for me.
9 times out of 10, yeah. Especially
my mother's marriage, both of her marriage to my, you know, the sperm donor, you know, my father, that was arranged, and so was the subsequent one. And like I said, every single significant relationship in my life.
The blessing about it, Christie, is that you realize this. That's the blessing, all right? Because many people, I would have to say 90% at least of the world's population have been set up on levels they just can't understand and don't even have memories that they bring about as to be true. They have little...
Look, when they paid my grandpa for me, they gave him the gold and silver knowing that they were going to take it back. That's how deep the rabbit hole goes. And this was, wow.
Well, I got a Christie card. I was literally considered rich. All right. And they took it all back. They took it all back because it's their creation anyway. That's their crap. If we really have faith or know of a prime mover that loves us unconditionally, then there has to be an energy out there that chooses to do what it feels best for us as well. There has to be. There has to be an opposite of what we face, what we are. It has to be. So it tricks us into thinking that it's all normal, it's all good, it's all beauty, and they give us all these trinkets and shiny things like, look at the light, look at the twinkly little light.
Well, I never got paid for this abuse. Other family members did, but not me.
Well,
yet.
The child is considered property of the man. That's the fact of law here.
Okay, so then what happens?
Nope, well, you trade your firstborn. As say, if I'm a man and you're my daughter and you're under 18 years old, or you're over 18 years old, but you haven't stepped up and stated your rights and your intelligence on paper, so therefore you're still considered my personal beast of burden. That's it. That the child is literally considered a monster at birth. That's a human being, a monster at birth. You have no clearance for the laws that we are under. No clearance. You are not subjected to. You are not to be. You are not to be considered to have equality in the law. You are to be considered a cow or a chicken or something like that can't communicate on a reasonable manner. Because intelligence, let's not forget the definition of intelligence. And no matter what people want to label intelligence as, like how many books you read, how many college courses you passed, has no difference on intelligence. Intelligence is defined by the ability to reason. And if you can't reason with these men, then that means you're a beast. And they can do whatever they like to you by the law. That's it. And they're going by the law. By all means, they are going by it. The only problem is that the ones that are subjected to this law are those who don't know it. All right? Like my old mentor said, because he wanted me to go to law school. And I asked him, I said, why do I have to go to law school when I know the law as it stands, the real law? So he said, those who know all of the law, man's law, God's law, all law like Allah law, then you will never be pained by the law. You are the one who administers the law. So that's why I want you to go to law school, so you can literally project the law as you see fit. If you know it, it's a good thing. If you don't, it's going to hurt you every way around the board. And that's the way they feel. That's what they go by. Like I mentioned before, you'll never find the words compassion and love written within the law. Why? Because they have no compassion for you. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So you have rituals like the cremation of care because a lot of these guys feel guilty that you're so stupid. Literally. They feel guilty about it. Like, damn, they didn't know. They didn't even get the chance to know. But yet I'm levying this upon them because it's written in stone. So they feel free to do so. It's a hard thing. It's not easy for any of those that are on the other side of the track in which we persecute now.
So you're saying that the people that are part of these ceremonies or rituals and things, that they actually have a heart and they feel guilty? Did I hear that right?
Most of them. Not all of them. Most of them. The ones that are not completely taken over by other dimensional creatures, well, those guys that are not completely taken over, they have a heart. They have a consciousness. They just act like they don't.
Wow. You know what, Long? Let's take a little break here. This is kind of heavy. And we'll come back and talk a little bit more about that. Oh, my gosh. Go to a happy place. Go to a happy place. Let's see. Welcome back. Truth Brigade Radio. Wow, Long. That's pretty heavy duty, but, gotta love George Carlin. Lighten it up a bit, huh? I'm going to light a few cigarettes right here. Hey, kids, can you go give me a cow, like a raw one, please? Just, cut them up. Just throw it right here on my desk. Thank you. Make sure it's nice and bloody. Throw a little salt on it, though. A lot of salt. Just, dump like half of that container on it. Thank you. All right. Oh, that's right. Okay, I got to get back to work there. Woo! Okay. So let's move into, tell us about some more rituals or things that, some of us may have lived and not been aware of.
Well, the other two rituals, basically you have the generalization of two. So you have the stealing of spiritual energy or the willful submission of spiritual energy. And then you also have the reincarnation. So we pretty much covered the reincarnation stuff. And I would have to move on to the stealing of your spiritual self, who basically the whole genie in a bottle concept, where that came from. That's pretty much the what's left to talk about on this topic.
All right.
Okay, let's see where to start. Christie, I thought you told me that this lady was going to be calling her or something like that to talk about her experience. Did she ever?
Yeah, well, maybe, I said she might not be ready. I have a lot of emails and things, but basically it has to do with I guess a child from a similar upbringing as myself. I might, I don't know if I know this person or not, but it was one of the people that to be abused, really likes it, and his job basically, he's been in politics and cabinets everywhere, and he's one of Duncan Hunter's butt buddies. Boyfriends, anyways, and his job is basically to make sure that nobody finds out Duncan Hunter is really one of these guys and gay and things.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, he stuck with the program. He didn't say screw you like I did. He stuck with it and likes it.
I can understand. It is very compelling. It's the promise from, for instance, here's another ritual, which it really doesn't involve ritual sacrifice at first, but it definitely involves a sacrifice of a kind. Everything involves a sacrifice because everything is contract. So somebody got to sacrifice something. All right. The other one, before we get into the snatching of your spiritual energy, well, here's the other one that is pretty much one that goes unmentioned. Now, this one is where you literally summon a spirit entity or demon or angel, whatever. All right, and there's many different ways of going about this. There's a procedure to make a sword, all right, and though I can't describe this sword right off the top of the head, I just can't do it. But I can forward you a PDF later on, Christie, that describes this in more detail. Well, when you make this sword, you have to make the sword at a certain time when the moon is full, at nighttime, and a lot of procedures involved in this. Then you draw a big circle, all right, that's big enough. First, well, actually, before you draw the circle, you make, depending on who you're summoning, all right, the 5-pointed star, the 6-pointed star is used in summoning those followers of Ra-Hor-Nuit or the Whore of Babylon and spirits that really are not bound or obligated to the so-called Christ consciousness. That's the 5 and 6-pointed star. Then you would draw a double-lined circle around that. And within that circle and on the points of the star that you use, you're going to put the message that you wish to be broken up. You're going to make it broken up onto the points of this star. Like, say, for instance, that example that you make, what you want to happen is that Christie shall be the queen of the world. All right? Real simple. You're going to take out all the vowels, all right, until you have a message that is completely consonant. And then you take those consonants and you divvy it up on the points of the star within the circle. And then you draw another circle adjacent from the star and circle that you already drew. And that circle will have the messages and the instruments used for this demon to stay, or spirit to stay within that circle. All right, because everything is contract, everything is law. All right, so the spiritual world has to apply to the law as well. So you place these commands around that circle. You're going to make a double circle for them. And within the lines of the small part where you make the double circle at, you're going to place commands at. So then the spirit will be adjacent to you. So you stand in the middle of the pinnacle or the 6-pointed star that you created with the commands inside, and you literally give a command to call the specific spirit that you want to come to you. They will appear in that circle because that circle is what you have made for them to step forth in. It's like court. So now they will tell you make an offer, like say basically, can you fly, are you faster than the wind? Can you fly to the farthest mountain and bring me back this item or such? And then they'll say, well, I'm as fast as a bird or something like that. And you say, well, you're not good enough for me. So then you summon the next one. All right? It's a negotiation process. When you get to the spirit that you want to do what you want them to do, well, then you start to negotiate with that spirit particularly. So let's say this spirit flies like the wind and can go underground and capture things that you want faster than whatever animal that you could think of. Okay? Well, this is the spirit that you want to work with you. And we're talking about from the evil perspective, or the so-called evil perspective of the 5-pointed star and the 6-pointed star, and not the 7-pointed star. We're not getting to that yet. All right, well, then you'll make this negotiation with them. And they say, well, I'll serve you if you do this. And that this may be every Wednesday night on the waxing of the moon, you sacrifice a soul willing to be sacrificed. So that means you got to trick somebody into being sacrificed every Wednesday. All right? So then you say, oh, no, that's not good enough. You know, that's too much strain for me, or whatever you choose to say is the disagreement. So then you can work out all types of deals negotiations, but one of the final deals negotiations will be that you sacrifice a person every year to me at this certain time that they project. And if you don't do so, then your spirit belongs to me. So everything this demon or spirit does for you has this boundary that if you fuck this up, then that you belong to them forever. All right? There's no changing that. unless you can figure out something else in the netherworld or underworld, whatever. I don't know about that. All right, because my goal is not to be involved with them, period. But for the other guys out there that are in search of power by way of knowledge and artifacts and such, they're going to use these spiritual demons or whatever. So basically, they set that arrangement. Okay, we're going to sacrifice a person, 2 people, whatever, every year at this time, or you get my spirit, okay? So it's not hard for somebody like Rothschild, George Bush Sr., Jr., to sacrifice a person every year. It's not hard. So whatever they get in return is what they get in return. I'm not involved in their personal deals, so I don't know, all right, what they have this demon doing for them, all right? So that type of ritual is probably one of the oldest that I could think of and still in practice to this day. But this is the reason how these guys cheat death. They cheat death because the spirit is literally keeping them alive, all right? They give them the knowledge to stay alive based on chemical, spiritual, whatever. They give them the way to stay alive in the same body, all right, so they can keep on providing these sacrifices. And if they don't do so, then the knowledge will be stopped and their soul will be taken. So that's why a lot of these guys are on a win-lose situation straight up. There's no in the middle for them. Either they keep on sacrificing people and stay alive, or they're fucked and they become a servant to this spirit that they made a deal with. Now, that's the so-called negative way, the 5- and 6-pointed star way of being in the middle of that and summoning these demons or spiritual entities. And please excuse me if I can't go so far into the detail of this, because some of it is still a bit vague to me when it comes down to describing it. And that, yeah, later on I will forward you a document that gives this in more detail, Christie. All right, now on to the 7-pointed star. The 7-pointed star is dealing with almost the exact same procedure, but yet you're invoking and calling upon all spiritual entities that literally serve the Christ consciousness and the higher way of living, based on the fact that you're going to be fair and equal to all others, okay? Now, these spirits, they come forth as well, all right? They could be land sprites and underground gnomes, spirits, earth spirits, all types of different elementals. There's a large variety of these things, and I wish that I could actually put a general label on all of them, all right? But these entities that come forth, you will ask them, are you a servant of the Most High, and which was manifested from Gabriel, blah, 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 that you serve this Christ consciousness, the equality of all life, and so on and so forth. There's literally a written statement that you give to them, all right? This is a contract. It's all contract. So just like you have a contract with the bad guys or the demons, you have a contract with the good guys too, okay? And therefore, if they acknowledge that they are one of the good guys that you see fit, then they sign their name on the line, and then you go forth into adjudication, okay, or what they could do for you and what you're going to do for them. What you do for them is that you're a servant of the Most High. So therefore, everything that you do is projected to be a good thing for their master, all right, for the prime mover, or the one known as Gabriel. But yet, Gabriel's name has been hijacked a few times too. There's a lot of trickery involved with this, a lot of trickery. So when you sign up with one of these good guy spirits, you're then still asking them to do something for you, and mainly what you're asking is to present to you the knowledge and the understanding so that you can better serve the Christ consciousness or the prime mover. That's the trick to it. So there's 2 types of ways of summoning different beings, and you just have to figure out if you're going to be willing to do this. Me, myself, on a personal note for everybody, I don't do either one of these. I don't do any one of these because I am not to the level of understanding in which I would like to be, in which I can feel the need to control other spiritual entities. I can't do so right now. I cannot do so. I want to know everything, but in this respect, my thirst for power and superiority does not exceed this realm. All right, I cannot do this because I literally am afraid to do these things. But yet, to see it in practice is an amazing thing. To see it in practice, to study and to perform this alchemy is something that you really are putting your life on the line. Life as a whole, not just your earthly life. You live 100 years or 200 years or whatever, and you die out and you go to heaven or hell. I'm talking about your life, your spirit is literally signing a contract here. And for all those that hear this, that dig deeper into this, I beg of you, please don't do it. All right, just leave it alone. It's not for you to dabble in these things. Basically, learn as much as you can before even thinking about something like this. All right, because I have no understanding on how to really control this, because a lot of these beings, if not all of them, are well-versed in manipulation and contractual behavior, and therefore will hold you to all of it, every last bit of it. So that means a harsh future for you, possibly. So that's the other way of rituals. And now on to the sacrifice, where really you're taking another person and snatching their energy. Do you have any questions about the beforehand stuff, Christie? Okay. So any questions or comments, I'll take them now for that part before I go on to the next step. I'm trying to sign back into the chat room because I keep being kicked out.
Oh, okay. Sound Guy, did you have a question on that part before he goes on to the next one?
Oh no, I'm just listening and getting insight into ritual abuse. I'm just learning.
Okay. Now, this is the worst part. This is what I really, really don't like to talk about because it's gruesome. It's gruesome because it's so cruel that it just it hurts. It hurts that it's so cruel. So let's get into that. And let me give my disclaimer, please. Long Amor Mahadi does not conform and does not like any of which he is about to state. All right? So do not hold me to it. This is it. If you look into the Bible, you'll see a part called Solomon's Song. In Solomon's Song, you'll see pretty much basically what he was stating, that, oh, you don't find me fair because I'm black and this and that. And he talks about the oils being rubbed on his body, frankincense and myrrh and such. All right, this is a ritual for sacrifice, and there's two types of sacrifice involved in this. All right, there's the willing sacrifice of someone bestowing their child upon you to help heal you, and you use their life energy to help heal you. All right, both involve being a virgin. Both involve that. That's where all this virgin stuff really comes into play at, all this sacrificial stuff. Like the sacrifice I just mentioned to you, making the sword and stuff like that, and the other sacrifice I was telling you about, deals with the parchment of a virgin or the loincloth of a virgin. And you're supposed to inhale this, and there's a lot involved in that. And I'm like I said, I'm going to send that to you, Christie, and you can deliberate on that later on. But with this right here, let me give an example. If a man was caught in the Appalachians, all right, say that he just got frozen, okay, almost to the point where he was near death, all right, so much of his life energy is exhausted from him. So then a chief or a king will bestow upon him their daughter or son, okay? They will rub the body of both of them in myrrh and frankincense in an oil form, and other organic oils and such that literally relay the energy. All right, they'll rub the bodies in both, and then the child, which is the virgin, whether male or female, okay, will literally be given to this man, all right, as a living sacrifice to bestow upon this man that is hurt and wounded this life energy, okay? Now, the man will look into the child's eyes, all right? Not just that, but take the parchment or the loincloth of the child, which is actually considered a contract. That's why contracts are printed on parchment paper. But the loincloth of the child will be taken by the man and inhaled deeply, all right? So I don't care if it smells like piss or whatever, coochie, whatever we want to call it, all right? Throw all the BS terms and definitions out there. They are inhaling this loincloth and therefore sucking in the essence or the musk of this child. The connection of the oils and such that you're rubbed in on, all right, it makes a better, stronger bond. And then the one that's supposedly injured is then looking into the eyes of the child. The child is supposed to speak words, all right? The words that the child speaks are of no consequence, but must be done under a willful intent, all right? Nonetheless, willful. And whatever those words are, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that the one that is receiving this energy of the words from the child, because the spirit and the energy is projected through the words, through the mouth. That's why the priests wear the white collars, by the way, because the white light or the spiritual energy is projected through the throat chakra. All right, well, anyway, it's projected upon the host gathering this energy. So, therefore, he's taking it all in. He's taking it all in. And the child gets to live. But the one who's receiving this is only healed and maybe receives another 10 years of life, all right? So despite his old age, another 10 years will be added on to it, wherever he may be, it doesn't matter. So whether he's 19, 20, 30 years old, and let's say, for instance, natural causes forces this man to leave the earth at 80 years old. Well, because of this little ritual right here, then he then gets another 10 years. Now, that way the child lives on and truly can have their own life and preservation, blah, blah, blah. But there is the other side of things, the side that the Illuminati or whatever choose to use to suit their benefits. All right. This side of things is similar in the process, except for this. They capture the child or the one that's allegedly the virgin, all right? They capture this child or they trick, manipulate, whatever way they can to get this child there. They tie this kid up, okay? This is all based on the fear energy and the hate energy and such, which is the equivalent in the undermining of love, but yet it still is in the circumference of love. It's still within the boundaries of love. All right, so love is the ultimate force. Love is it. Everything is encompassed by love. But they're using the other spectrum of this energy. So basically, when they capture this child, so we have the same procedures of rubbing the bodies down in oil, but this procedure can go on for months, days to months. And that's the horrific side of this, because this child is tied down, the subject is tied down, whatever. They are literally not able to move. They are kept in an area in which they are helpless physically. They can't even bite because the person is going to, their neck will be tied down. All right, they can't do nothing. All right, so the one who wishes to take this life energy away from them. They will stand over them. They will recite things to them that will bring about fear and release that DMT that's produced in the brain to open up these other densities. All right. Keep in mind that DMT is a natural thing that is created in the pineal gland. Excuse my pronunciation. But this gland produces this DMT, which literally gives each being access to different dimensions, all the way up to, from my understanding, the ninth density or dimension. And I don't know if there's more consisting in this realm that we call Earth, but I know there's at least 9. So they are literally trying to get this out of you through fear. When a person dies and when they go to sleep, this DMT is activated every time, all right? Or when a person is about to die, like near-death experiences, like you see the tunnel of light, different beings and stuff like that, that's all DMT being activated and therefore giving you sight beyond your so-called sight now. So the one who is sucking this energy from you is literally sucking the ability that you have away from you, all the spiritual energy away from you through fear. They recite nasty things to you. They cut you. They torture you slowly. They stare into your eyes because your eyes are the gateway to which they suck the spirit from you, all right? And they are literally staring into your eyes constantly while inciting this fear upon you over and over again. And when the time comes, they will release you and let you run away, all right? They'll let you run only because it gathers that libido. It influences all the natures within you. It drives you. You have that adrenaline pumping through you. And what is behind that adrenaline? Your spirit driving it. They want that spirit. So they will release you only to be captured again and then put back into the same situation. And they will bleed you slow. And they will finish you off while looking into your eyes. But they want you to scream. They want you to beg for your life. They want you to do. See, that's why the child or the subject must be of an age where they can speak. All right? Must be of an age where they can say something. All right? Must be of an age where they understand death. All right? They have to understand it. A child, a baby, does not know death, torture, evil, none of that, hate, nothing. A child knows nothing but unconditional love, and it is up to us to teach that child hate and fear and all these other so-called evil things. So it's the same with this subject. This subject must know these things, and if they don't know it, then you're going to be teaching it to them over time, and whether it be weeks or months. It's at least weeks every time of torture, weeks at least, up to months. So then they bleed you slow, and you give your last breath begging for your life, and that breath is inhaled by them. You ever heard those stories about a cat snatching your breath? All right, well, that's the same thing, the same damn thing. That's where they get it from, that the cat is supposed to be related to demonology and all this other stuff. Well, really, that is just a symbol for what they are doing to the people. They are sucking the life energy. You ever heard of the fountain of youth discovered? Well, that was a people in South America that were found to be very high in spiritual energy. So sacrificing one of them under the pretense that I'm giving now would add anywhere from 75 years to 100 years of extra life. This is what they're doing. They're trying to cheat death and adding on physical ability and longevity through sacrifice. But really, they too are slaves because they already have access to staying in the same body for years and years and years. But they've been tricked into using these rituals to literally bathe in the blood of their brethren and therefore be separated from creation and the prime mover themselves. Okay? That is the whole goal of these so-called negative entities that influence all the Masonic groups, that influence the Vatican, the Whore of Babylon. They are behind this entity, this unseen force is behind all of this. and they are literally manipulating the so-called powers that be and tricking them into thinking this is the way to be. This form of sacrifice is most common today, of literally capturing somebody, bleeding them slowly, and even eating their flesh and their heart and their liver. Okay? That is literally the sacrifice that is most popular today, and that's exactly why anywhere between 800,000 and 850,000 Americans disappear every year. And let's not even get into the stats around the world. All right? They disappear. It's plain and simple disappear. There's not that many smart lunatics running around in America to make 850,000 people disappear without a trace. These orders add more longevity and years to their life by snatching the very spiritual energy in which you possess. I wish that I could be more specific in the function of how this works, but what I can basically tell you to be true is that the eyes are a gateway to your spirit and many other realms, and they have found the way of the absolute in taking the spirit from these eyes, literally. Like, the eyes are the only opening for it really to come out. Well, that, the bottom of your feet, the palms of your hands are the exits, and they have found the way of the absolute and therefore harness this energy that comes through these exits. And that's why they oil your ass up to make better conductors for the energy, because energy always takes the fastest route. So make no doubt about it, we're all energy. Whether we see ourselves in whatever form we like, we're all frequency and sound, and therefore that sound is dictating the form in which we're in. Light itself is an illusion dictated by sound. When somebody says faster than the speed of light rather than faster than the speed of sound, they're lying. Straight up lying. The speed of light is nothing more than the speed of sound, projected in tones and frequencies in which that we are ignorantly calling it light. It's just a higher variation of sound and frequency. So I'm pretty sure that I'm kind of confusing a bunch of people on this. So.
Wow. And you say that how common is that practice?
Big time common.
It's the most common ritual, so how often?
It's done at least every day, at least 100, maybe 1,000 times a day, maybe more. From what I could tell, I have no idea how often it's practiced. I do know it's the most often practiced one because those in the inner circle and even a few in the outer circle that stumble onto this want longevity. They want to live forever, and they keep doing what they do.
So they just go kill other people.
Yeah, exactly. They take it from you. That's it. The cattle, the sheep. When I'm cold, I shave my sheep and make a coat. That's what they feel they're doing with you.
Wow.
I really do wish I could make it simpler, but really, I'm still trying to figure out all the different methods in which they could possibly use. So far, I've been looking into the technical variables of this, like the use of technology to do this, TV, internet, that they have ways of snatching your spiritual essence and using it for their own well-being. Though I have not put a lock on that, I just know that they are using mass media and internet to literally do their bidding as well. And from what I've heard,
sucking out the life force.
Yeah, and from what I've heard recently about...
And fluoride, I mean, start right there. That leaves the mineral deposits on your pineal gland, blocking the DMT production because they don't want us to have access to our third eye.
Yeah, it's also a federal regulation and rule, a statute, a bill, an act, something you don't have to apply to, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you have your affidavit of character status in there. But anyway, this federal bill or act says that you cannot be in possession of crystallized DMT. Why? Because if you smoke it, you have full recollection of what happened. It only lasts for about 5 or 10 minutes, of what you're able to see and understand. But when you dream and you release it every night, all right, then you don't remember what the hell happened. You only remember little bits and pieces of dreams and such. But really, all that was your extra-dimensional travel, because we're all multi-dimensional creatures. All of us.
How do you smoke DMT if it's produced in your brain? I'm confused.
Because you can extract it from any living thing available: grass, bark of a tree, animal fur, whatever. You can extract it with a simple chemistry set, little vinegar and stuff like that, and you literally extract it, crystallize it, and smoke it. Any living thing. Every living thing carries DMT. Every living thing. That's it. It's the most predominant so-called drug ever. It's everywhere. Everywhere. You cannot hide from DMT. It's everything, everywhere. Anything that's organic. So everything is organic, so therefore DMT is there and can be extracted. So just like you would extract, say, sodium fluoride. Sodium fluoride is the main ingredient in rat poisoning. So you can extract the sodium from the fluoride or the fluoride from the sodium. Either or. Same thing with DMT. You can extract it.
But why would we want to smoke it and extract it from somewhere else if it's already naturally occurring in our brain? I mean, sans fluoride, of course.
Well, because the DMT, if say for instance, if you want a shortcut, right, which I am not suggesting openly to everyone, if you want the shortcut to see things that are there, but really you've been programmed and poisoned not to see it, and the separation is silver cord, DMT, when you go to sleep, you can access these things, but you don't remember it. You don't remember it. When you smoke it, you have 5 to 10 minutes of basically you remembering what you're seeing. Okay? 5 to 10 minutes of remembering everything that you see. So here's an example. The average person that's been vaccinated, programmed, they go outside and they look up in the sky and they see nothing except for maybe a plane or a helicopter. A person who has not been vaccinated, that has not been programmed to the laws that they want you to understand and think about to be true, that they have dumbed you down to, well, this person goes outside and sees all types of stuff in the sky flying around, walks down the street and sees what you might project to be an alien, a light bulb head, reptilian, a tall white, whatever type of being that you figure is not completely human, okay, you're going to see it, all right? That is for the people that have not been indoctrinated, that know this world holds way more than what you see on TV and the Internet. Plain and simple, there's way more out there. So DMT literally lets you have full access to what the matrix has behind it, all right? The structuring of the matrix, the building blocks of the matrix, the geometric patterns in which all of this comes into shape and form. So basically, a DMT allows you to be like the guy Cypher at the computer, like I mentioned before, seeing all the codes of it. They see the code. And what's code? Code is just another word to describe something that wants to be hidden, okay? So I'll encode it so you can't understand it. So you get to see the code. That's it. And you remember the code, all right? You only get 5 to 10 minutes of it, and you remember it. That's the difference. In dreams, you don't remember. When smoking it on first-hand experience, you remember it straight up. There's nothing that's going to erase from you, all right?
Well, why don't we remember our dreams? I know I used to. I haven't for years, but why not?
Because it's a subconscious effect. The DMT is leaking, because every night when you go to sleep, you actually die. Every night. So all your astro traveling and such is embedded in your spirit, and then your spirit, it's up to your spirit to program your brain. Your brain is nothing more than a computer. The computer can't function unless it's programmed. So your spirit isn't able to literally program that computer because it's hard to take what you have just now seen in all these different dimensions and densities and take that and put it on the perspective of the third density computer brain that you have. So when you smoke it, you then are interacting fully with the computer. So the computer is going online with you, with your spirit. All right? So when you dream, your spirit's going online without a memory backup. So you don't have a flash drive, you don't have a hard drive to store what you're looking at. You're online and you're checking out all this stuff on the internet, and you can't save a goddamn thing. That's why you don't remember anything. So basically, your brain is acting like the browser when you type in something specific, like, say, I'm going to higherlyrics.org. But I don't remember the whole website that I was at. I don't remember the whole name, higherlyrics.org. But I remember it started with an H and an I. So I type in an H and an I, and then higherlyrics.org comes up. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Same thing. Same thing. All right? Your brain needs a jump start. Your brain needs your spirit to program it at least enough to get a foothold on what's going on. So when you dream, your brain is back here on third density, all right? And your spirit is out there on internet land, okay? So you have to give reminders and programming to that brain, that computer. But when you smoke it, your brain is online with your spirit being online. You're in unison. You're in sync. You're in SEMA. You're together. You're working together. So, therefore, your brain is getting programmed as you go on in this 5 and 10 minute experience. That's it. That's why you can remember it when you smoke it. And when you can't remember it, it's because your spirit is separated from your body, all right, from your brain. And your brain has to be programmed by your spirit's experiences. But together, in your spirituality, that spiral of the body, mind, and soul working together, well, now you can remember it. But when you go to sleep, now your body's doing something and your spirit's doing something else. You're separated when you're sleeping. So you don't want to be separated. You want to be as the whole. You want to be holy and have the whole experience, you know. So I don't advise people to go out there and break the federal law, you know, if you haven't signed yourself out of 14th Amendment citizenship. But if you choose to be against society's mandates of federal jurisdiction, which only has a 10 square mile radius, so if you're not living next to the White House, then you can have all the DMT you like, okay? And you simply put that in paper that I will make DMT, well, I'm sorry, not make it, but extract DMT as I see fit, smoke it if I see fit, use it as I see fit, distribute it as I see fit, and shall not be subject to any federal jurisdiction because I am the king of this land. But that's for the other show dealing with the law.
Well, send me some. Wow. Okay. Sure.
I'll send you the way on how to make it, on how to extract it. I mean. All right. I won't send you some literally crystallized.
I just want my own. I just want what God naturally gave me and be able to utilize that.
Well, I'll send you the recipe on how to make it yourself. You know. And also, many scientists, and even another guy, I forgot his name, but he did a full-fledged study on this, test subjects and all right, and cannot find any negative effects whatsoever. In fact, in Europe, they are using, some private doctors and clinics, they are using DMT as a way to get off of morphine, heroin, opium, crack, cocaine, and all those substances. Because once you're exposed to the reality of this world, you feel that there's way too much to live for to do something as stupid as heroin or crack. Okay? So they're using it as a way to get people off of drugs. So it's not something that's addictive that I could vouch for myself. And I've done almost every drug, at least one time. And I just say DMT is nowhere near addictive, you know, nowhere near it, where basically you experience it, you're grateful for it, and you can do it again if you want. But in actuality, when you walk down the street, there's a lot of things out here you kind of choose not to want to see. You know, there's a lot we as people don't want to know. Really, we don't want to know it. And deep down inside, we're saying we don't want to know it. But up close and personal, we're out here on the radios and whatever saying, I want to know the truth. You know, but like Jack Nicholson said, you can't handle the truth. There are some people, I bet you, they do DMT and have a heart attack from what they see. All right? Cannot believe they're talking to some type of alien or whatever. Cannot believe that they walk down the street and see this 50-foot tall being that recognizes them and they recognize it and can communicate with it, and nobody else sees it. They can't believe that. You know, that's like a serious shock. It goes against their whole belief system and social structure, you know. And that's why I'm against socialism, because it puts people in a box and they stay there forever, you know, and never to go outside that box, you know. So whether it be communism is the way to be, or whether it's Jesus Christ is it, and that's the way to be, either way it's socialism. And I'm totally against that. I'm all for individuality and the respect for the laws of creation. That's it. Other than that, have at it. Do what you will.
Amen. Well, what do you say? Is there anything else you want to tell us about these secret societies or rituals before we go on to callers?
Well, nothing that comes to mind. Actually, my thought is prompted by people asking questions and their insight on it, and therefore I can start my creative juices and thinking going there. You know, for things that I've forgotten, you know, the things that I haven't mentioned it only because it hasn't been brought out of me. So if people have some decent questions, that's awesome, because that brings about everything that I might have put into the back of the bank, you know, put into the storeroom of knowledge. It could come right out, you know, if I could access it from your opinions and your thoughts on the matter.